ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ. Today's episode is again very special. Um, as we all of know, these are unprecedented and historic times in the history of not only the subcontinent but also the world. Probably part of the overall geopolitical change that's undergoing the world with the new world order coming in place. And and what actually, as all of you know, there have been some recent tensions between India and Pakistan, and there have been all kind of reports in terms of one of the most historic air battles that were fought. Till now, between India and Pakistan, the tensions have majorly resulted in the two air forces slugging it out over a matter of 2 to 3 days. And it has been a battle which is unprecedented in modern human history, wherein you have two really large air forces, very well equipped with state of the art military equipment, state of the art aircraft, state of the art air defense systems, going up against each other in an basically an open knuckle fist fight. And that resulted, let me give you a bit of a background how we ended up here. But today, what I'm going to do is, as a result of that conflict, what has been going on for the last couple of days, there has been finally a ceasefire which has been brokered by United States, President Trump specifically, and after that ceasefire was broken, there was a big press conference being done by the Pakistani armed forces, and so we all wanted to listen what they have to say, what their take is, where this ceasefire is going to go or not go. So we are going to analyze that press conference, look at all the new data points that they share, what facts they share of what happened and what did not happen. And something about my background: I am an Indian Air Force veteran, now an American, and so I have a unique view, or I would say something to add on the information that is being shared by both sides. I'll try to be as objective as possible. Obviously, I'm not objective. I have my biases. I'm a supporter of the Sikh right to self-determination, so people might label me as primarily anti-India, but that's a different matter. I'll try to be as objective as possible because my interest is to really understand this air battle and what actually happened. And then I will also try to give you a bit more understanding of the underlying root causes of the conflict, why Pakistan and the Sikhs, basically the Khalistan movement, is kind of so anti-India, and the other kind of issues which are related in this whole conflict. So, without further ado, I will love to start. The way we will do it is we will play the press conference. I have not watched it honestly. I have watched like snippets of it, and I found it fascinating. The data and information that the generals and the air marshals of the Indian Pakistan armed forces are sharing. So I thought it'll just be interesting to just get on a call and just watch it together with the Twitter audience. And in between, I might make pauses, kind of explain the stuff to you, so you guys, civilians or people who don't understand the subcontinent, they can get a bit more idea of what is being talked about. With that being said, I would need one or two couple of co-hosts. Let me. Coin is here. If some people can join me as a co-host, we'll time bound this, so hopefully you don't have to stay for long. But I would really appreciate if people can join me as a co-host. So in case there is the signal drops on the Twitter space, we can restart the space, like, or the space doesn't drop basically in case there's a signal issue on my end. So yeah, Coin, if you can accept that'll be great. I'm also live streaming while the Twitter space is on. I'm also live streaming, so you can listen, actually watch the press conference that happened today. Yeah, thank you, Coin, for taking the co-host. Saf is asking for a speaker. Yeah, people can ask for speakers. You guys can come and ask for speaker. We are gonna pause the. We are gonna not play it uninterrupted. We'll pause the press conferences wherever some interesting points come across or some debatable points come across. So it'll be like an interactive play on the. I'll try to make it interesting so that I add some data points and viewpoints on top of it, and then the people who are in the audience, who either have a viewpoint, you can also join in. Raise your hand in case you want me to pause the pause the video that is playing and basically talk about a certain point. Okay, but we want to remain restricted to what is being discussed in the press conference so that we can finish up the whole press conference. Okay, so without further ado, let me quickly start this presentation. Let me share my screen. um, Here it is. Share my screen. I'm still learning how to comfortable with the software. Perfect. Here you go. So people on the live stream, I'm going to play it right now.
Today we shall apprise you with the conduct and conclusion of Pakistan Armed Forces Operation Bunyanum Marsus against Indian military dastardly attacks that began on night of 6th and 7th May 2025, resulting in the loss of innocent civilian lives that included women, children, and elderly. Pakistan had vowed justice and retribution for reprehensible Indian military's aggression and brutal killings of our citizens. Alhamdulillah, Pakistan armed forces have delivered the promise made to our people. I begin by thanking Almighty Allah for His infinite blessings, mercy, help, and divine support, as He has ordained the believers to retaliate whenever they are wrong. We bow our heads to Him in utmost humility to have enabled us to translate our resolve into decisive actions in the battlefield. Our hearts and sympathies are with the wards and families of the Shohada, who sacrificed their lives for the beloved country, and our prayers are for the quick recovery of our injured countrymen. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to every officer, soldier, airman, and sailor of the armed forces of Pakistan who made this success on the battlefield possible through their courage, professionalism, and sacrifice.
So maybe I'm going to fast forward this, but sorry, Saf, yeah, go ahead.
Can I run to you?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes. सर सबसे पहले तो बात ये है कि जो ये रिसेंटली जो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट हुआ है इसमें मुझे तो जो हमें ये चाहिए थे मतलब इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स बेस पे और वारफेयर बेस पे कौन सा किस तो ज़रा एडवांस था अगर हम बात करें H400 की
Saf, just hold on, Saf. Okay. So, Saf, we are here to first of all, can you mute your mic? Please mute your mic. We are here to listen to the press conference by the generals of the Pakistani Air Force. We're going to get to questions like these and assessment of it later. Okay, just hold on. So we're going to play through it. Be patient, and if you want to speak, just raise your hand and I'll call you. Don't unmute yourself. Okay. And yeah. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to start. I'm going to probably fast forward. So right now, the press conference I see is General ISPR, who is leading it. On his left-hand side is the Deputy Chief of Pakistani Air Operations. I think his name is Air Marshal Sidhu. That's his last name. And on the right-hand side of DGISPR, I see another Army General, Rab Nawaz. I don't know who he is. I'll Google it while we go through it. So I'm going to just fast forward it because he's just acknowledging some.
And gratitude.
Can I for those in this space, if you just click on the what's up in the nest, you'll be able to see the people's volume in the space as well.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. And please retweet the space, retweet the live stream as much as you can so more people can join. You can also share it later on. People can listen to it. Okay. So I'm going to start again.
Pakistani nation, whose moral strength, resolve, and above all, wholehearted support and prayers remained unwaveringly with us during these testing times, which became a force multiplier for the armed forces of Pakistan. We are specially indebted to the youth of Pakistan, who became the frontline soldiers as information and cyber warriors of the country. Profound thanks are also due to you, the vibrant media of Pakistan, who also stood like Bunyanum Massoos, a steel wall against the Indian media information blitz and fuming as well as warmongering done by the Indian media. We are extremely grateful to the political leadership of all political parties without any distinction.
So as you can make out by now, it's basically a victory speech. It's basically he's out here to declare victory. That hey, we this ceasefire is basically a victory for the Pakistani armed forces. And as you go later on, he's going to explain why it is a victory. And in case anybody, people who are uh, on the live stream, if my voice is not clear, please let me know because last time I did it, there were some audio issues. Please let me know if there's a background noise. Okay, I'm going to just make it. So I'm going to slide forward this again. So because it's all just thanks.
Cabinet ministers for taking destiny operational demonstration of integrated tri-services jointness enabled by real-time situational awareness, network-centric warfare capabilities, and seamless multi-domain operations. This synergy across air, land, sea, and cyber domains allowed for precision engagement, overwhelming lethality, and rapid tempo.
Okay, this is very interesting. So what the terminologies that he's using for many of you civilians, this might be difficult to understand, but the key word here is multi-domain operations. So what he's saying is today our Air Force does not fight in one domain, which is air. We are at a one point in time, we are engaging in multi-domain operations, and we are able to do that because of our data links, because of integrated air defense, because of all our weapon systems being able to talk to each other through sophisticated integrations. And in the multi-domain operation, you can talk domain of electronic warfare, a space domain, air domain, land domain, many, there are all kind of domains, different armies come through. There's a talk of seven domains, the countries like US probably fight in more than seven domains. So that is what he's putting out, and he's basically telling, basically we were successful because we had multi-domain operations, and probably the Indian Air Force has still not progressed enough to be able to wage or defend itself against multi-domain operations, or an Air Force which can simultaneously bring kinetic effects through multi-domain operations.
All platforms operated in synergy, delivering coordinated effects at carefully selected decisive points. Using precision-guided long-range Fateh series missiles F1 and F2 of Pakistan Army, precision munitions of Pakistan Air Force, highly capable long-range loitering killer munitions, and precision long-range artillery. 26 military targets as well as facilities that were used to target Pakistani citizens and those enterprises that were responsible for fomenting terrorism in Pakistan were engaged in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir and also mainland India.
Oh, this is very interesting. So he talks about that India is perpetrating state terrorism not only in Kashmir but also mainland India, which could be a reference to the Khalistan movement, the persecution of the Sikhs, and the persecution of the Christians in the northeastern part of India by the Indian state, which is also quite has gained quite international understanding.
The targets included Air Force and Aviation bases at Suratgarh, Sirsa, Bhuj, Nalia, Adampur, Bhatinda, Barnala, Halwara, Avantipura, Srinagar, Jammu, Udhampur, Mamoon, Ambala, and Pathanpur.
Oh my God! These air bases. This is basically almost, I would say, He's covered like more than 50 to 60% of Indian Air Force bases and almost 100% of the Indian air bases, which are on the western border or the border which India shares with Pakistan. It's a long border going north to south. All these air bases I'm very familiar with. I've gone to all of them, and all of these are key strategic air bases. And the one which really surprised me was Nalia. So the Nalia air base is actually very, very south. It is in Gujarat, and they being able to attack that tells us that they attacked from right up to north tip till right up till southern tip, and did not spare any single strategic air base of India which had any kind of weapon systems on it. Amazing.
It all sustained major damages. BrahMos storage facilities at Bias and Nagrota were also destroyed, which had fired missiles on Pakistan, killing innocent civilians, our flower like children, our ladies, and our elderly. S-400 battery system at Adampur and Bhuj was also attacked by our proud Pakistan Air Force.
Okay, great. So he makes another key point. He says that when India launched its surprise attack, India had targeted the civilian areas in Pakistan. And that's true. India has admitted it that they targeted the civilian buildings. He is claiming that they only targeted military establishment, and all those establishments which were involved in launching missiles against the civilian targets uh, within Pakistan, they were the ones that they were targeting. So he's taking a high moral ground, showing that he's kind of signaling to the world that India is basically a terrorist country. It's targeting civilian areas, and Pakistan has this high moral ground where we are targeting the military establishment, or now, in his words, the terrorists who are attacking civilians within Pakistan. A very, very smart move, I would say. A very, very confident move, very, very brave move. And it all would have hinged on how it turned out. And so they didn't attack any soft targets. And he also highlights that they attacked two centers, one in Nagrota and another in, I've forgotten, the BrahMos in Bhuj, I think. Not in Bhuj, Beas. Beas is in Punjab, Nagrota is in Jammu and Kashmir. And there he said there were BrahMos silos. BrahMos is a hypersonic missile that India developed in partnership with Russia, and it's supposed to be a capable missile. And the India used BrahMos also in attacking Pakistan. So they attacked those silos, and then he said they also attacked the S-400 air defense batteries of India. These are the state of the art air defense systems that India purchased from Russia. And in my understanding, they had only two batteries, but they were super expensive. These are super expensive, state of the art. It's on paper they are the best in the world. On paper, Russians claim it's better than whatever America has, and so they attacked the SA-400 air defense batteries. Now that is phenomenal because you are going after a system using aircraft, a system which is supposed to take you down. So it's a suicidal mission, honestly, and he'll refer to it like when he talks about that. And he mentions where these S-400 batteries were. One location was in Adampur, Punjab, which is northern part of India, and then one is in the Bhuj in Gujarat. Bhuj is where I served. Actually, I was in that area, so I'm not surprised that Bhuj has a S-400 battery, because in the Gujarat state is where the economic interests of India are. There are oil refineries and all, and you will come to it in the later part. He says why India knuckled down and India pleaded for ceasefire is because we told India that the next attack will be on the economic interests of India, which is the refineries of these big industries and businessmen like Adanis and Ambanis, who are basically very important people in India. Yeah, so very interesting that we come to know of the location of these weapon systems. Generally, the Indian state does not kind of make this information public.
Military logistics and support sites which helped sustain this unlawful operation against innocent Pakistani civilians, like field supply depot at Puri and radar station at Poonch, were also targeted. Military command headquarters, which helped plan the operational killing of our innocent citizens, especially the children, including 10th Brigade and 80 Brigade at KG Top and Nusheira were also destroyed. Facilities which harbored, train, and capacitate proxy elements that perpetrate terrorist attacks inside Pakistan, which kill innocent civilians, were specifically identified and destroyed. These include Intelligence Fusion Support Unit and its powered field elements at Rajori and Naushera. Across the line of control, military elements including headquarters, logistic bases, artillery position, and posts that had caused civilian casualties in Azad Jammu and Kashmir through unprovoked artillery and small arms fire were relentlessly targeted and heavily damaged until they raised white flags and asked for restraint. India used drones to violate Pakistani airspace to intimidate our civilians and spread fear. All through Operation Banyanum Marsoos, dozens of Pakistani armed drones hovered over Indian major cities and sensitive political and government facilities, including their capital, New Delhi, and from Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir all the way up to Gujarat to manifest clearly our lethal long range unmanned capability to indicate its.
Yeah, this is phenomenal. I had missed this in the earlier. This is the first time I'm going to go back and listen to it. I think what he's claiming is that that they had drones flying right on Delhi. Delhi is the capital of India. This is phenomenal if that is true. It's an amazing claim.
Major cities and sensitive political and government facilities that had caused civilian casualties in Azad Jammu and Kashmir through unprovoked artillery and small arms fire were relentlessly targeted and heavily damaged until they raised white flags and asked for restraint. India used drones to violate Pakistani airspace to intimidate our civilians and spread fear. All through Operation Banyanum Marsoos, dozens of Pakistani armed drones hovered over Indian major cities and sensitive political and government facilities, including their capital, New Delhi.
Oh, this is amazing. This is amazing. We have seen. So what he's saying is that the Indian Air Force or the Indian Army actually sent a lot of these Israeli. I think it was Harop drones, and these Harop drones, what they basically do is they hover. They're kind of a loitering ammunition. They hover over an area. They take out. They have a couple of bombs. They drop, and then in the final, like they pick up their final target. And once that final target is identified, they basically go for a suicide mission. So we had seen a lot of actually videos from Pakistan where the civilians are shooting down. There is one video where the civilian shot down a Harab drone. And so we do know that the Indians were launching a lot of drones to attack sometimes even the civilian areas in Pakistan to create a sense of fear. Specifically, he will actually claim in the later part of the press conference that India did try to attack some of the Sikh historical sites within Pakistan using these drones. So India was probably trying to intimidate the local population in Pakistan. But what he's saying is, we were on our side. Again, he's taking a high moral ground. He's saying on our side, we did not target the civilians. We sent our drones, armed drones, but we made them hover over sensitive military and political and bureaucratic establishments in the national capital of India, that is Delhi. So his claiming is that the Pakistani drones, armed drones, they hovered over these buildings to basically send a message to India and create panic and fear in the mind of the Indian establishment and not the Indian public. Again, phenomenal. I think he's taking a. It's and I believe they were able to do it because now we know how the air battle panned out. They had air superiority, so it is very much possible that their drones could actually reach and do this hovering. Because Indian air defenses definitely came out lacking to say the least out of this whole what we see what actually happened. Anyways, let me quickly Uh, oh, sorry. I ended up mistakenly removing Saf Shahani from the space. Quite not sure if you can send him another invite and he can join. It was just a mistake in case he's wondering. And Rich, let me give Rich a mic. He's a good guy. Okay, let's continue to listen to this.
And from Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir all the way up to Gujarat to manifest clearly our lethal long range unmanned capability to indicate the futility of the use of this domain in warfare. Pakistan Armed Forces also carried out comprehensive and effective cyber offensive to temporarily cripple and degrade critical infrastructure and services that were being used by Indian armed forces to sustain their operations. Let me tell you that Pakistan armed forces possess an adequate suite of very sophisticated niche military technologies, all only some of which were used with restraint in this conflict. And there are many more such capabilities being kept as future surprises.
Okay, so super interesting. So you see, like this is pure professionalism. He's basically sending all kind of messages to the enemy as well as the world community, international community, as well as their own people. So first of all, he's saying that we did not only attack the air resources or the Indian Air Force resources, air bases, air defense batteries, missile silos. They also had a huge list of military establishments, which included specifically identified. And this is where it's interesting. He's claiming that they had. He's actually showing off that they had full intelligence on which particular brigade headquarters and which particular units on across the border were indulging in kind of planning operations within Pakistan, covert operations within Pakistan. And if you remember, a couple of days back, the DGISPR had shown a video, actually, evidence of some of the Indian serving army officers directing uh, bomb blasts within Pakistan. So what he's saying today, we knew exactly where these guys were, which particular unit, which one. He names the brigades by brigade headquarters so and so, brigade headquarters so and he's naming them and he's saying we specifically targeted it. So showing not just the capability of their weapon systems, but also showing their capability in intelligence gathering and knowing who is doing what within India. And then he says, whatever we showed here, we never used all of our weaponry. We never went all out. And then he's saying, we have more that you don't know. So he's keeping the enemy guessing. Okay, so because if this is all the capability Pakistan has, now India can prepare for it in the next skirmish. It can take many years, but that's a different matter. But so, and then he's keeping that hidden, he's keeping it suspenseful, and then he's saying, that we also showed restraint. So what he's telling you is that we could have done way more damage, but we showed restraint, which is sending a message that Pakistan is in charge of the escalation ladder. So basically, which means victory. So it is the side which controls the escalation ladder is the one which has an upper hand, and that's what he's saying, that we are in charge of the escalation ladder. We can decide when to escalate or not you. You know.
Despite all this, let me say that compared to Indian relentless provocations, Pakistan's military response has been precise, proportionate, and still remarkably restrained. It was carefully calibrated to avoid civilian casualties and has exclusively targeted those entities and facilities which were directly involved in orchestrating and executing cold blooded killings of Pakistani civilians and those carrying out terrorist attacks inside Pakistan. We must also inform you that Pakistan also sustained an abnormal and immediate spike in Indian sponsored terrorism across Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan while we were busy in operations on the Eastern Front. This vindicates that India is directly involved in fomenting terrorism in Pakistan, and its proxies were fully operationalized during this time to distract our attention. Pakistan armed forces are resilient and simultaneously with the conduct of Operation Bunyanum Marsoos, we carried out most effective counter-terrorism operations in the western region without any pause. Operation Bunyanum Marsoos has been a great example of coming together of all elements of national power with overwhelming support of Pakistani public to effectively counter the threat to our national.
I just want to give it a pause and kind of acknowledge, how professional this briefing is. So you have the general, the DGISPR. On his right is I think, the deputy chief of naval staff, and on his left is the deputy chief of air operations, the Pakistani Air Force. And they have been doing this. They have been briefing the nation regularly with these senior officers coming out, and you see in the end they'll take questions and they'll share a lot of data and information. Now, contrast that with what the Indian side has been doing. And I think it's been a very big disappointment because in the Indian side, it is this bureaucrat who comes out. Vikram Misri is his name. And he's a bureaucrat. And on his right and left, he brings two junior lady officers. One colonel in the army, also not in the fighting arm, in signals. Then another, wing commander from the Indian Air Force. And he gives them pre-created scripts to read, which obviously is written by the bureaucracy in India. It kind of tells you the difference between the outlook and the overall society of India and Pakistan. In Pakistan, being mainly Punjabi society, you will see the army kind of leading from the front and being more professional. On the Indian side, which is more like we call Babu Dong, where the Babus and these, rule the roost. You will see the Babu is the main guy sitting in the middle, and he has these two poor little girls, almost as they are like some kind of showpieces. And I want to show you that picture. Actually, honestly, it's kind of very, very strange. And I'm going to show you guys that picture. So, which is kind of tells you a lot about the difference of outlook between these two, the societal difference and the overall. Let me.
सर जब तक आप पिक्चर शो करें मैं कुछ बोल लूं आई हैव इंफॉर्मेशन
Yeah, please go ahead.
सर 2-3 दिन पहले सबने हमने ये देखा कि पाकिस्तान ने 5-0 मतलब 5 जहाज गिराए थे और उनका इंडियन एयरफोर्स ने 0 था पर एक चीज आज और कंफर्मेशन हुई है कि यही थे पाकिस्तान ने और जहाज शॉट थे 6-0 पाकिस्तान ने ये क्लेरिफिकेशन नहीं दी कि वो जहाज कौन सा था पर एक और चीज हुई जिसमें हमें एक और अच्छी चीज ये लगी कि मतलब जो पायलट था जिससे मतलब ना वो ना इंडिया ने डिनाई किया है ना पाकिस्तान ने एक्सेप्ट किया है मतलब इस चीज में हम ये हो सकता है कि वो डिप्लोमेटिक रिलेशन के तहत वो शायद पायलट वापस
Hadi, we are going to cover that. We know that the talk about that lady pilot. It's going to come when he goes to how many pilots. That question will come. So this is the picture I wanted to show you. Okay, how the Indian briefings happened. You see, like, now compare this. And this is people might think this is a minor point. It's not a minor point. It's a reflective of the mindset of the of the Indian state, and it also is, I think, one of the major reasons why the Indian Air Force is today in such a shabby state, and Indian Army is even more shabby state. India is lucky that there is no military ground army based operations till now, because the difference in the quality of the Indian Army and Pakistan Army will then be out in the open. And here you see the image, this bureaucrat coming, and you should go and watch the Indian briefing, okay, and talk how unprofessional it actually looks, honestly, to say the least. And let's go back to the briefing, and let me start sharing again. Okay, here you go.
national sovereignty and integrity, and the threat to our great motherland. No one should have any doubt that whenever our sovereignty would be threatened and territorial integrity violated, the response would be comprehensive, retributive, and decisive. Pakistan Armed Forces thank and salute the Pakistani nation for its courage, resilience, and national fervor during this conflict. Let me finish with the Quranic verse from the Surah Anfal. وَيَمْكُرُونَ وَيَمْكُرُ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. They plan and Allah plans, and Allah is the best of planners. Pakistan, Zindabad, Wajib Pakistan, Mindabad. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I will read out this statement in Urdu for our citizens of Pakistan in general.
So I'm going to probably
Bismillah ar-Rahman.
skip his Urdu statement. Just give me a minute. Let me see if I can
उसकी
skip.
तफसीलात से आगाज वो तंसीब हमलों में सब बच्चों आज जम्मू एंड कश्मीर इंक्लूडिंग में उन भारतीय उन बेजी के मुकाबले में जीत सबूतदार मिसाल उनको सेपरेशन की अगेंस्ट करने के लिए आपकी तवज्जो.
Acha, you imagine like now keep comparing it with the Indian presentation. Okay, here's a general who comes every day. He has to prepare and write his briefings, make sure the data is correct. But when that Indian briefing happens, that bureaucrat doesn't even make an effort to speak much. He sits there like he's that upper caste Brahman and he has these two slaves who are going to do his bidding. Um, I know I kind of sound biased probably when I say that, but that's true. That's the reflective. It's a reflection on the Indian system and Indian society, wherein somebody is like treats the other people like slaves. The whole caste system that they have. But here's the general not being afraid of doing the hard work. That this is how it should be in the military.
स्क्रीन की जानिब मजबूर कराना चाहूँ. The translation reads how many times it happens that a small force vanquished a bigger force by the will of Allah. History has proven that the complete nation and its armed forces have always stood together with all their might against any act of aggression. Alhamdulillah, we have the will, capacity, and capability to protect our sovereignty and territorial integrity. We are all well aware of the ways and means to do it. Our forefathers, they have sacrificed immensely, and we have sacrificed a lot for the creation of this country. And we know how to defend it. If this great Pakistani nation, the Pakistani armed forces, if 1.3 million Indian army with all their weapons, if they cannot intimidate us, if they cannot force us, these terrorists can subdue the armed forces of Pakistan. हम सिर्फ ये कहना चाहते हैं कि ना हम तुम्हारी ताकत, ना तुम्हारी मकारी और तुम्हारी जारियत से मरूब होने वाली कौम है. Now you just wait for our response. Bismillah.
So now they are basically playing a bit of a propaganda video on how they responded. I think we're going to play through it. That's fine. It's all it's a bit of propaganda, which is fine for the moment that the Pakistani armed forces are in. I think they deserve this bit of propaganda.
On 10th May, at the time of Fajr, we have given a strong fight. Alhamdulillah. There is stand made 2025, and this is a smashing response to our enemy, and it will inshallah continue.
Okay, I'm gonna just scroll it because it's too much right now. I don't know how long this is. Okay.
However, this we told you. You go to the next slide. If you remember, the armed forces of Pakistan promised you three things. We told you that we will give a befitting response to Indian aggression. We told you, and we told the nation that, however, this response will be at the time, place, and method of our own choosing. And we also told the nation that when we will hit the Indians, the entire world will come to know. And we also told that you will not require the Indian media to report to you the phantom strikes that they said that Pakistan is taking place. Didn't we tell you all these three things? We told you. And we also told you that as these armed forces say, we ardently love to embrace Shahadat far more than you fear death. So, gentlemen, this is how it culminated. Now I will show you another clip which will tell you the story.
The country has launched a retaliatory military operation against India. Operation Bunyad ul Marsus, which translates to a firm wall of lead, is targeting military facilities in India.
We have seen the strikes in the morning, then retaliatory strikes at night. It is hard to imagine from this moment where I stand that New Delhi won't want to respond. Pakistan's army sent for an eye, explained that this counter-offensive is ongoing and that it's targeting air bases in India from which missiles have been launched.
Just after morning prayers, there were three loud explosions were heard across Jammu and Kashmir, including Uri, Narota, Jammu, Udhampur, as well as the major cities of Srinagar and Jammu. Pakistan decided to launch a massive retaliation that included fixed-wing aircraft, as well as drones, and also cyber attacks. They came 8 air bases inside of India and Indian-controlled Kashmir. Important distinction, these are India proper as well as in Indian-controlled Kashmir. And those air bases, one of them they say that they've hit a sophisticated air defense system, and another one that they say that they've taken out a missile storage tank. Pakistan's military says the strikes are in retaliation of what it calls Indian aggression. Islamabad claims it has hit multiple military targets near the line of control. Pakistan responded with a relentless, a massive barrage of missiles and rockets, they say, Pakistan says, into Indian military facilities, bases inside India, air bases, weapons storage, and along that disputed line of control in Kashmir against military bases there. They say that this, from the Pakistan perspective, their communications, how they were communicating with Secretary Rubio, that really put India on the back foot. Didn't know what had happened. India, according to Pakistan, reached out to Secretary Rubio, reached out to the Saudis, reached out to the Turks, reached out to others to find a diplomatic off-ramp, got engaged after that onslaught in diplomacy, but telling the mediators that they were going to go on the force on the Indian side.
घबराहट है तो लोगों की
That's important. I think this is a CNN correspondent who basically is confirming what the Pakistani military is claiming, that it was the Indians who approached the international interlocutors for mediation, and they basically said there's ceasefire from our side. So it's basically India raising a white flag, nothing short of it. So India raised a white flag saying we are not going to retaliate. Please help us get some reprieve from Pakistan. And very interesting.
नजर आ रही है क्योंकि तमाम एयरवेज ध्वस्त होते हुए नजर आ रहे हैं, आपके गोले में बदले हुए नजर आ रहे हैं। सबसे ज्यादा जो चर्चा है वो है कि जब आप अपने एयरवेज को नहीं बचा सकते तो जनता को क्या बचाएंगे।
बड़ी खबर निकल के सामने आ रही है, पठानकोट से हमला हुआ, याद आती है पठानकोट एयरबेस पे हमला हुआ, दूसरे पासे जम्मू एयरबेस पे हमला हुआ। ये पाकिस्तान की साइड से है, देखिएगा तो हमें आवाज से ही पता लग रहा है जो सीटी में जाता है तेजी से आता है और हमारे करीब 2000 आवाज के साथ पड़ता है, वो पाकिस्तान की तरफ से फेंका गया, पुंछ पर फेंका गया। देखिए उन्होंने जो किया है पठानकोट, पठान हमारा आगे जिसको हम कहा एडवांस एयरबेस है, बहुत है। उन्होंने उधमपुर में किया है, ये किया है श्रीनगर के पास में किया है, बंतीपुर में, सिरसा को आपने बताया एयरबेस है वहां पर, उसको उसने टारगेट किया है और तो वो ड्रोन्स के साथ साथ अपनी बड़ी मिसाइल भी दाग रहा था। पूरी तरह से जो आबादी है वो राजौरी के साथ साथ जम्मू के अलग अलग इलाकों में यहाँ सुनाई दे रही है। पाकिस्तान बिल्कुल आखिर में ये इस्तेमाल करेगा और पाकिस्तान तो शुरू में इस्तेमाल कर रहा है। ये वहाँ और भी बहुत सारे मिसाइलों का जखीरा है।
Okay, I'm going to just try to move a bit forward on this.
Jammu area, all the way down to Bhuj, there were several attacks coming in from the Pakistan side, several drone strikes which were coming in from the Pakistan side.
So again, remember and see that didn't the whole world hear and report? Because that's what we promised. Your armed forces promised and delivered that. Now I would like to draw your attention to the next clip, that how the Indian Ministry of Defense itself reported this.
Carrying out aggressive actions employing multiple threat vectors all along the western border. Pakistan employed UCAS, drones, long-range weapons, loitering munitions, and fighter aircraft to target military infrastructure. Pakistan military also resorted to air intrusions using drones and firing of heavy caliber weapons along the line of control. Air intrusions and several harassment attacks were also attempted from Srinagar till Nalia at more than 26 locations. Damage was sustained to equipment and personnel at Indian Air Force stations at Udhampur, Pathankot, Adhampur and Bhuj. There were also several high-speed missile attacks noticed with heavy damages to other military stations in Kupwara, Baramulla, Poonch, Rajouri and Aknoor sectors continued. Indian Armed Forces reiterate their commitment to non-escalation, provided it is reciprocated by the Pakistan military. भारतीय सशस्त्र बल दोहराते हैं कि वे तनाव वृद्धि नहीं चाहते, बशर्ते पाकिस्तान भी ऐसा ही व्यवहार करे.
So did you find even there from the Indian statements that did Pakistan attack anything other than military targets? No. Did any international media, even Indian media, what are they reporting? Precise targeting of the military installations, posts. We told you that we don't target civilians. Our religion does not allow us. Our culture does not allow us. Our professionalism of these armed forces doesn't allow us. We will never target civilians. So they are even acknowledging that. And they are also saying that once they received the message, once they got the message, then who asked for non-escalation? Who requested that they want non-escalation, that the things should go down? So it's for all to see. So now
That's true. He actually played the The press conference, the briefing done by the Indian side, in which it was very clear that India admitted that they are asking for ceasefire, that we are not going to respond provided Pakistan, does not attack us further. So that's basically like throwing in the towel in the fight. So it's pretty clear, and they played that without kind of really nubbing Indians' nose into the dirt. That's what the journal is saying.
I will request first Vice Admiral Rav Nawaz to give you a short
Mhm.
brief on the naval operations that were part of the Operation Banana Masoos, followed by
Yeah, this is very interesting. Now they'll go domain, Navy, Air Force, and recap, how the operations happened. And I'm very much interested in the naval operations because till now not much had been heard of what actually happened on the naval side. Was there an attempt by India to actually, attack Pakistan, Karachi port, etc., etc.? India, on paper, has a lot of superiority over Pakistan Navy. India also had an aircraft carrier, and Pakistan has nothing like that.
Air Vice Marshal Aurangzeb on the air operations. And after that, we will take your questions and answers.
Thank you, sir. Very briefly talk about the role of Pakistan Navy in the defense of Pakistan during this particular crisis. And by the grace of Almighty Allah and with Almighty's help, we were able to defend Pakistan's sea frontiers and deter an enemy which is numerically superior. We kept the enemy at bay, and I'll just briefly talk about how we can executed our operations. So essentially, protection of Pakistan's maritime interests and seaboard defense that is the task of the Navy. And Alhamdulillah, with the help of Almighty Allah, we were able to do that. On any given day of the year, we maintain perpetual readiness. And what that means is that our ships and submarines, they are stocked up, all the military logistics are stocked up. And for us, the transition from peace to war is not only swift, it's almost invisible. And when this false flag thing happened in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, we immediately mobilized and we completed the operational deployments of Pakistani Navy fleet units and also the coastal command units in matter of hours. Our submarines, our ships and aircraft, they were in their respective areas where they were supposed to be, and we were ready to thwart any aggression from the sea. And
Okay, again, a high amount of professionalism here. Okay, so the deputy naval chief is basically showing, and he's again, Pakistan from day one. Actually, initially they said this has to be investigated, but now they're claiming that the Pahalgam operation was a false flag operation, which is also my assessment that it was done by the Indian rogue agencies, given their track record, given what happened in that event, all the evidence points fingers at the Indian establishment having conducted that terror attack to basically then heat up things with Pakistan. And what he's claiming is it's highly professional actually of Pakistan Navy. They're saying they read the situation very well. Moment that Pahalgam false flag operation happened, within hours they stocked their ships with everything and they prepared for a confrontation with India because they knew why India did it and what India is going to do next. And then he's claiming they did it within hours. Now, that's not a small achievement. Navy is huge. Your ships could be in different parts of the ocean, getting it back, getting it stocked, getting it ready, and for war. So he's basically kind of telling you how quickly we can mobilize and how quickly we can be ready for war. He's kind of not overplaying it, but kind of the use of the term in hours is pretty significant.
go on to the next slide.
Before we go, we have on the panel Eris. I don't know, Eris. I've been following your account. A lot of good, posts from you on this conflict. Thank you so much. And I used a lot of it myself. Sometimes probably not giving you enough credit, but I'm very much interested. You are here. In case you are comfortable speaking, I would love to hear who you are and you've been sharing very interesting information. Feel free to unmute yourself if you're comfortable.
Thank you, Ajib bhai. Basically, I came to answer one of your questions. Under one of my posts, you asked Rob to verify it.
Yes.
That was a that was being fired at Adanpur base.
Adampur
So
base, okay.
I just came to clarify that where I got the video and why the video is authentic.
Okay.
You people are, if any of you people are from Indian Punjab and from that special Jalandhar
No,
area,
it's not Indian Punjab. It's Indian occupied Punjab.
Indian occupied Punjab and Jalandhar area, I will explain the things that happened there.
Okay. No, I would love to. I'm very much interested in what happened in Adampur. And it was, I asked Grok just to maintain my neutrality. As you understand, there's a lot of misinformation, disinformation, and I verify everything. Okay, whether it comes from Pakistan, whether it comes from India, I retain my objectivity. I try to verify everything before I post it on my timeline and say yes, most probably this is what happened. But I'm very much interested. You seem to have a lot more information. I've been impressed by what you're sharing. So we will talk about Adampur. If I think in the presentation when the deputy chief comes in, he's going to talk about Adampur, and I would love if you can stay on. It's a bit a long presentation, but I'll really appreciate if you can stay on and share us details about that. And in case you have to drop, let me know. Then I will first discuss that, and we will not wait for it. I really want to hear what all evidence you have. Just let me know.
I'll put that tweet on the top so that we can discuss it when you are over with your that press conference. I can wait.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And you can speak in Urdu, Punjabi, English, whatever, doesn't matter. This is a multicultural space. So with that, ठीक है, thank you. Okay, we're going to continue. And we'll continue with the Deputy Naval Chief's presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, maritime domain awareness, that is essentially to know what is happening in your area of interest. That is critical for the naval operations. And I just briefly talk about that because to generate any response, you need to be aware of, the happening in your area of responsibility. And we were maintaining 24/7 visual at sea. And okay. A couple of days back, there was a hike. You heard about.
Okay, I'm going to pause this picture. I'm not a naval officer. I'm not trained in the naval warfare, but I can guess what he's trying to show on the slide that you see. I'm assuming that he is showing some of the Indian assets in red color and some of their assets in blue color. And when he says maritime domain awareness, basically knowing where each and every asset of your enemy is at any point in time, and what their capabilities are, what their immediate plans are, and that way you can really, because it's about strategy, because unlike aircraft, the naval ships, they take time. It's they're not like super fast on the sea. So it's about timing, it's about moves, it's about strategy, and so the domain awareness is super important. So I think by showing and plotting these here, he's kind of telling we knew exactly where the Indian ships were. Every single Indian ship, basically.
Minus Vikrant approaching Karachi. And I'll just briefly tell you that we were keeping a very close eye on the activities at sea. And this is essentially the Indian Navy surface disposition throughout these days.
Yeah, so I was right. What he's saying is this is Indian Navy's surface disposition throughout the sea. So ships which were in the air and where they were. And he's kind of really, he did knew exactly every single Indian naval ship where it was. Phenomenal, and he's saying that we are always aware of it. He's kind of showing off a capability.
We had a couple of ships in this particular area. They were moving around in this area. And then there's a ship off Salalah, which was operating over there. And this is...
So they were not only tracking the Indian ships on the western border of India. You see, they could track every ship on the eastern coast of India, as well as any Indian ship which is close to Oman, wherever in the world it is. So they were tracking the Indian ships all through the world. Amazing.
We much talked about the Indian carrier. We were monitoring it right from the day one. On 30th of April, it was here. Then it moved up here. Subsequently, it moved up here. And on the night of 6th and 7th May, it was back, close to Ratnagiri, very close to Mumbai. And then on 9th May, it was here, essentially 400 nautical miles away from Pakistani coast. And again, then it retreated back close to Mumbai. So we were keeping a very close track on this particular carrier movement. And there was no cause of concern at any time. If the air carrier comes closer to 400 nautical miles and even closer, that essentially simplifies our problem. So we were the Pakistan Navy Maritime Air Arm in coordination with the strike component of Pakistan Air Force. They were proper ready to generate any kind of response at that time, at all times. And I was in constant communication with the Deputy Chief of Air Staff, Air Vice Marshal Aurangzeb at all times, and we were just ready. If there is any aggression from the sea, we were there to respond effectively. And let me say another thing. That is, you know about the carriers, you have seen them in the movies, but as a professional military officer, I don't want to underestimate the enemy, but let's put the things in the right perspective. The INS Vikrant and the carrier, the Western carrier, there's a huge difference. This is the carrier which essentially sailed with 8 to 12 MiG-29, which was very essential to carry out its own air defense. The purpose of the carrier is power projection and to ensure air superiority in a given sea area. So with this, let's set the better. This is simply not possible, and
Okay. Okay. I think he's being very professional. He doesn't want to make fun of the Indian Navy or fun of the concept of this aircraft carrier that India has. And but before he go and he talks about the capability of the Indian aircraft carrier, he's basically shown us the track that the Indian aircraft carrier maintained for those days. And the closest it came, and he said we knew exactly where it was on 30th April, where it moved, etc. It moved to Bombay and then it moved west of Bombay into the middle of the Arabian Sea, but it never dared come more than 400 nautical miles from Karachi. That's a huge distance. 400 nautical miles away, like in the middle of nowhere, was it parked, and then it went back to Bombay. So that was saying, and then he's highlighting that let's set the better. That he's kind of telling you what the purpose of an aircraft carrier is: power projection, and he's saying the Indian INS Vikrant is only capable of carrying 8 to 12 MiG-29s. That is accurate, and he's saying that is barely enough to even defend the aircraft carrier itself, leave alone any attack on any land based asset. He said, you require this much just to defend your own carrier before you can even think of any power projection. I think he's right. And he's saying, and he's also being humble and saying, let me not underestimate my enemy. I want to be careful what words I use here when I say this. But the fact is, the reality is this professional way of dealing with things, right? If it was the Indian side where they had the junior officers with all that emotion and Bollywood side drama, like that, it would have been very different. You have seen the Indian officers how they've been like jumping on television. It's been very embarrassing, honestly, how the Indian armed force officers have been behaving. They're not just embarrassing their own profession. Now the situation has come to a level they're embarrassing the profession itself. The profession of uniform demands a level of dignity we expect from every soldier around the world. And there's kind of a brotherhood that we share and values that we share. And now they're embarrassing in the uniform personnel everywhere in the world. And I don't think that the current condition of Indian Armed Forces, they deserve to be allowed to come on social media. Anyways.
Indian Navy exactly knew this. And that is precisely why on the 9th of 6th and 7th, when they carried out this cowardly attack on the civilians, they moved this carrier to the safety of their own coast, well away from Pakistan's strike capability, close to this Ratnagiri area. And again, on the night of 9th and 10th, it was moved very close to the Mumbai. It was essentially 17 to 20 nautical miles of Mumbai. But we were keeping a track. We were aware of their movements in this area, and we were always ready to generate a response in coordination with you.
Yeah, here he is. He's showing the the exact track of INS Vikrant. 30th April, it's south of Bombay, Karwar, and then it moves north. And then 3rd of May, it starts traveling west of Bombay from Andheri, and then keeps traveling. And then 5th of May, it is somewhere in the Arabian Sea. 6th or 7th of May, it actually comes back again to the Indian coastline. And then again travels west and be in the middle of nowhere in Arabian, sorry, in the Arabian Sea on 9th of May, and then comes back to Bombay around 10th of May. So they have the whole track here that they're showing, okay? And they're showing the distances. Phenomenal. Great. So actually, if you see the nights that mattered when they should have been close to the Pakistani side and be ready for some kind of a reaction, those time they're actually closer to India and close to Bombay. So it seems they were the Indian Navy was trying to safeguard the carrier. The Indian Navy probably knew that it could just be a sitting duck and a lot of embarrassment if the Pakistanis take out their aircraft carrier right in the ocean.
Especially in case of the aircraft carrier. Subsurface elements, defensive elements, they were offensively deployed given this respective areas and ready to generate a response. And also, Ali, tell me, you might have seen this footage. You know, we were not only in the surface domain, but we were effectively monitoring their air surveillance things. And because of the operational security reasons, I'll not talk much about how we did that, but we were keeping an eye on this particular activity as well. And likewise, in the subsurface domain, our
Okay, again, very, very interesting. And again, he's kind of showing off a capability without boasting about it. They are showing an actual footage of an Indian Navy P-8I. P-8I is a very advanced, very good aircraft, which has it's a surveillance, primarily surveillance aircraft. Plus, also it can also do some air to surface attack, like anti-ship, anti-submarine operations. It has a lot of other kind of electronic warfare equipment, etc., on it. And the Pakistanis are saying basically, look, we were even able to track all these aircraft that they were flying. And if you are able to detect such an asset, you can take that asset out. Okay, so basically, you're saying these were sitting ducks floating around in front of us, and we just videographed them and we showed restraint. And if we wanted, we could have taken them out at will.
anti-submarine warfare vigilance was all-time high. We were monitoring the movement of the submarines and the left their shores, and we actually, had an idea where they would be, and we had our ASW surveillance and suppression effectively going on at all times. Likewise, another component of Pakistan Navy's responsibility.
An amazing presentation. Like you guys probably are not admiring like how deep and how effective use of words is, and every word is measured, thought through in his mind before he's speaking. And he's not reading from a script. Okay, he's giving a presentation like it should be done. He's prepared the main point and he's talking us through it. He's confident what happened. He is aware of it. He knows the red lines that he does not want to cross, and he's sharing information that should be shared to claim that they had victory on their side. Very impressed.
The defense of the Greek area. We had our coastal command units deployed over there in close coordination with the Border 5 Corps elements, Pakistan Army elements, and they were poised to defend this particular area in case of any aggression from the south. Another important component is the protection of ports and harbors. You have just heard the DGISPR talk about the substantial threat that we witnessed. There was a surge in another part of the country, and
Yeah, Rich, can you mute yourself, please? Just
we were, there were real-time apprehension that there may be a surge. So we ensured the protection of all ports and harbors of Pakistan and coastal command elements, they effectively play a very, very important role in this. And just to mention that on the night of 6 and 7, when they carried out the attack in Pakistan, we were fully ready to respond to any aggression from the sea. Or we were just ready, and but the enemy chose not to come over. It was essentially not a matter of choice. I would say it was a matter of compulsion, because enemy fully understood the cost it would have incurred had it ventured from the sea.
Okay, amazing. Okay, again, so in the naval warfare, unlike the air warfare, in air warfare, it's kind of, you can still end up underestimating the enemy or overestimating the enemy and making wrong decisions, because many of these, you don't know like how much surprise you have, well, because it's a matter of 1 hour that operation happens. So if you have surprise on your side, you can get away with hitting the enemy. So you can make miscalculations, and that's what happened in the case of the Indian Air Force trying to attack Pakistan Air Force, and you'll see when the air presentation will come in. But in the case of the naval operations, he's saying they did not even attempt, and we knew they will not attempt, because in naval side of things, they knew the you can see where the ships are, you know their capabilities, you know your limitations of your actual equipment, and you know that they are fully deployed and ready. You know that the really worst condition of the Indian aircraft carriers. So he said we knew, and they knew that they are not going to attempt anything given the situation they're in. So it was, he's saying it was not a matter of choice. It was a matter of compulsion for the Indian Navy to not make any attempt on the Pakistani coast. And I think he's damn right. That again shows that even the Pakistani Navy enjoyed superiority over Indian Navy in terms of ability of the Indian Navy to do any restrictions or do any blockades on the Pakistani side of things. Amazing, amazing thing. Yeah.
And likewise, what was saying, go back, please. Go back. And few words about the missile threat that you talked about. You must have heard the enemy missile attack. We were very keeping a very close eye in enemy deployment in this area, from where they can potentially launch a missile threat towards Karachi. We were fully aware, and we had our response ready to in that eventuality. And go to the next slide, please. Ladies and gentlemen, all operations, whatever we do in the military domain, they are to create certain effects. We look for the effects, and the effect that we created, we were able to resolutely, with our posture, we were able to deter the Indian Navy despite its numerical superiority. Cannot number of times have more assets and more forces, and with a annual budget of like $13 billion. So Pakistan Navy, with its potential, with its posture, with its capability, was effectively able to deter the Indian Navy from doing any venture from the sea. Alhamdulillah. And that's very, very important. That is essentially the job of the Navy, to ensure that the free flow of trade continues. That's the backbone of the economy. 95% of trade is through the sea. Alhamdulillah, we were able to ensure that the shipping continues, the free flow of trade was ensured, and we were able, all our ports and harbors, they remained open. And you can Google yourself. So what was the case on the other side? You can Google about Tanda and Mundra, and there was some disruption, but then you can check the for yourself.
Okay, this is amazing. Oh, this is amazing. Like what he's saying right now. So, if you remember, I was in a space actually a couple of days back, and we met this. I think he was a CIA or a U.S. Army analyst, and his name was John, and I think I invited him, and he said they were playing these war game scenarios for Pentagon while for this crisis, and one of the scenarios that really worried them was, what if the Indian Navy blockades the Karachi airport, and if that happens, then things can, the 95% of Pakistan's trade move goods supplies are moving from ocean. And if that happens, these things can, spiral into a nuclear conflict. And that was the biggest worry. And here, Air Marshal Nawaz is saying, you look like this also tells you the soldierly mindset and this very effect. Like, hey, we understand we have numerical disadvantage. We don't have the budget. The Indian Navy has billions of dollars of budget. They have all these assets. So we have only a limited budget. How do we now, with that limited budget, what should be our strategy? Our strategy could not be to go and dominate, the Indian Ocean and then, blockade Indian ports and all. So in this limited role, our strategy should be to deter. So the sole purpose he's saying of the Indian Navy, of the Pakistani Navy, is to deter the Indian Navy from even coming and trying to blockade any of our trades and our ships that's happening through the Karachi port. And what he's saying is, and it was so easy, and I'm amazed at the amount of deterrence they have achieved, because it is so easy, you let a submarine go and kind of do a cowardly attack by just sinking any commercial ship or any military ship, and you can create panic and you can create a stoppage of all the movement of goods. But Indians did not even try that. They were so deterred, I don't use the word scared, but deterred, that they did not even take that risk. And they knew that if they took that risk, many of their own naval assets are at risk. So the Pakistan Navy was successfully able to deter, which is not a small achievement given how small the Pakistan Navy is, the limited resources they have, and that's a lesson. Okay, it's a lesson in strategy, and that's what I keep talking about. All these Khalistani Twitter accounts, okay, all these guys. Like the Sikh dissidents who are being persecuted by this so-called big Indian state, which is nothing but a paper tiger. So I keep telling them, like, look, you have limited resources. Make effective use of that. Don't waste your time on Twitter spaces. Do recorded spaces. Be purposeful, and you will see where you'll get very soon. So just my oft-repeated complaint with the Panthic Twitter here. Okay. Anyways, let's keep going.
Alhamdulillah, we were able to effectively.
Yeah, Saf, go ahead.
जी जब आईएएफ से मित्रों तो पहले भी अपने जो बात की थी, ये तो मतलब जैसे हमारे एयर चीफ ने बोला द बेस्ट थिंग थे, मतलब सबसे बड़ी चीजें, तो उस वजह से थे इंडिया ने पहले 3 एयर कैरियर बनाना सोचा था। उसके बाद इन्होंने इसको दम करते जो ऑपरेशन है उसको बंद कर दिया। ये प्रोजेक्ट 71 के तहत ये बन रहा था, 8 बना दिया, दो नहीं बना रहे अभी वो। और इससे एयर मार्शल जो था अब्बास साहब, वो तो ये तो मतलब एक वाइट एलिफेंट है जो इसको प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए आप तो समुद्र में डिस्ट्रॉयर्स और फाइटर्स और साथ चाहिए होते हैं, तो ये इजीली प्रे होता है।
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you see the difference, right? And he's bringing up a right point. The Pakistan Army is understanding its limit. The Navy is understanding its limitation, understanding its resource constraint, and it is purposefully. It is purposeful. It understands what is my purpose, and it is focusing its efforts and resources to build that purpose. On the other hand, you have the Indian Navy, which has this grand aim of having 3 aircraft carriers. So you are saying, for what? Why should Indian Navy have 3 aircraft carriers? Are you like United States of America, who has to fight a war with Argentina, or who has to fight a war with London? That's stupid. The Indian Navy should not be. So hold on. Indian Navy should not be. So it's a study in contrast. Okay, it's a study in strategy. The Indian Navy should not be spending a single dollar on building these huge, expensive aircraft carriers, even if they are useful. Where does India want to project power? Why would India want to project power in like the projection of power? Like you can understand, like if you have an economy like United States, you have to project power. So it is your need. If you have an economy like China, you have to project power. But what does India have to project power? The most poorest country in the world. Why would it want to spend on waste all its money on aircraft carriers? And that's exactly what's going on here. And that's why there's wastage, there's corruption, because this all the spending of this money is out of just sheer what you call, I would say, illogical and fake and false pride rather than purpose and a soldierly mindset. And yeah, so yep, let's continue.
Ensure this. Next. We had a wonderful inter-services synergy, very effective communication, and like I said, I was in constant touch with the DGMO and the Deputy Chief of Air Staff Operations. At all times, we fully coordinated our operations, and Alhamdulillah, and I think that's really successful for execution of maritime.
Okay, so you guys probably are not catching these words. Okay, these are very specific word. He said inter-services synergy. So it was not just the. So these are very specific military words. Okay, jointness, synergy, coordination. It's multi-domain operations. So jointness means something else. Synergy means something else. So these are the various levels of coordination or whatever integration you can call it. So he's saying we have synergy. He's telling the world there are three services when it comes to naval operations. We have synergy across and we have synergy because it suits our defense needs and very very professional. Okay, and you unfortunately you will not see this level of presentation coming from the Indian side because the Indian, yeah, I'm kind of letting you know, like people who know defense and the military and the military affairs, they are hearing these words and they say, okay, they are not just talking about it; they are showing us in practice that they can do it.
Questions? Alhamdulillah, we came up with the national expectations. We ensured defense of Pakistan's maritime frontiers, and we were able to deter the enemy from any adventurism from the sea. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you that we remain ever ready to thwart any aggression from the sea at all times. So we will keep our guard. We always keep our guard, and inshallah, we will keep our guard in days to come.
You see, he's basically constantly telling you my purpose is to keep the guard, to deter the enemy, to thwart the enemy. They should not even dream of any misadventure. So he's clear about the purpose of his navy. He's not in that GD Bakshi or the Indian army mode where they have put like we are going to destroy Pakistan left, right, and center. They are totally unaware, totally lack of self awareness and the purpose. Here he knows his purpose and he's saying we'll keep our guard. So he's saying we have a defensive posture. We are there to thwart. We are not there to be aggressor on the Indian ports, and that's our purpose, and that's what we are going to do, and we'll do it effectively.
And last but not the least, I'll end my presentation. The next time when you think of Pakistan Navy and the silent guy, please remember that with the help of Almighty Allah, our actions will always speak louder than words. Thank you very much. And I request everyone there.
Yeah, I think it's kind of he's kind of joking around because the Pakistan Navy is probably the smallest of the three arms, so he's calling himself the silent guy, and he's saying like we might be silent, but we are the most effective.
No, Vikrant, you are at this point you are wrong.
Okay.
Last night the Major Dorbaria said that ISS Vikrant destroyed the Indian port silently. That's why he was responding to it.
Oh, okay. So he
arrest that person.
Okay.
The video was posted from the villages around this place. They have a WhatsApp group and they posted there.
Okay, great. While we are just hold on, we're going to come to the Adampur thing. Freedom Party, now my live stream is on. Somebody can check. It seems should be working now. I think I figured out the technical glitch. Let me see. Yeah, it's on. So we're gonna go back to the presentation. Ervis will come back to this. This is very interesting what you are sharing. I'm really interested in because the S400 I'm not sure and I want to know and yeah, that's if the S400 battery has been taken down and we have some kind of evidence corroborating it, it is it's as big as the Rafales coming down, probably even bigger. That is a huge embarrassment for Russia and a huge test of Chinese equipment against S400. Okay, let's see that. Uh, let's go back and present share our screen, and let's go back to our presentation.
So the Indians didn't choose to come on the sea. Now you understand why.
On behalf of Pakistan Air Force, Chief of the Air Staff, Pakistan Air Force, I stand here with you all with deep-rooted humility and gratitude. I'm so thankful for Allah helped us in achieving whatever we desired, even whatever we deserve, more than what we deserve. For being able to be up to the task for PF, as they say, second to none. Ladies and gentlemen, there the DGSPR mentioned, I am Deputy Chief of Air Staff Operations. I'll pick up.
So again, like the choice of words is just so professional. It's full of humility and humbleness, and he doesn't say we outsmarted, we killed like the Indians, okay? हमने आग लगा दी, हमने ये कर दिया, खत्म हो गया कराची, खत्म हो गया. Look at this. This is how professionals are supposed to be. And even in this moment of victory, he's being humble and he's saying we were up to the task, second to none. The choice of words is not about gaining supremacy and doing this. It's up to the task, and we ask for humility. He's saying in our hour of victory, so that it does not get to our head. And that is what keeps the Pakistan Air Force so professional. Hats off, respect.
Day before yesterday, PF versus IAF, 6-0.
So he upgraded his claim, okay? He upgraded in a very in a cheeky way. He's saying, I am continuing my presentation I made yesterday. Yesterday he made the detailed presentation which I have analyzed. Okay, if you guys want, you can go on my profile. You'll see I have fully analyzed that air battle, the historic air battle, and he's made it 6-0 rather than 5-0. So maybe there's an update to his analysis.
The PF's response has strengthened Pakistan's national security. And it has even strengthened our commitment, the enduring commitment the PF has for stability and peace. But I have no doubt, and I can say with assurances, that the real genius and the mastermind, the cerebrum behind the design and the aim and the structure, the game plan of PF was the staff He asked us to do three things in our response: re-establish deterrence, neutralize key threats, retain control of it. And I will show you in my presentation how we try to do that. Right. During the
Again, like look at their choice of strategy, saying our aim was to neutralize key threats and retain control of the air. It's not like it's very very achievable objective they had kept for themselves. And he's giving credit to Air Chief Marshal. Keep it in mind, their air chief was in COC when this skirmish happened, the historic skirmish in human history, which will be written about, studied at least for next 5 decades by air forces around the world. And the Air Chief Marshal was actually leading from the front in night, available in that ops room, running that operation. And look, when it comes to getting the credit and the publicity, he does not show up. Whom does he send? He sends his junior to claim and show to the entire world one of the most significant air battles ever won by a modern air force. And so, and obviously, his junior starts off by giving him credit because it seems he is the mastermind of all of this that happened. I don't know. I have to Google who is the air marshal here of the chief of Pakistani Air Force. Let me see. Let's give him due credit. What's his full name? Zahir Ahmed Babar Sidhu. Okay. Oh, I thought he is Air Marshal Sidhu, but it's the Air Chief Marshal who is the Air Marshal Sidhu. Okay, okay. So let's read Pakistan Air Force Chief is Air Chief Marshal Zahir Ahmed Babar Sidhu. Okay, okay, great. Let's continue.
Shooting response that we generated in our first episode, we attributed IAF's pride to the Rafales, resulting in this entire fleet almost coming to a standstill at ground position. You can see that they were not flying up that, at least not close to the western border. This reduction in flying to bare minimum actually reduced their liberty of action. They curtailed their office. Right.
So this is new, but not surprising. Once you get on the air, you have tested your equipment, and it has come out that the Pakistani equipment and their tactics and their training and their employment, everything across all domains, in electronic warfare, air defense, is better. India had no options. A professional Air Force, they are not going to get their Rafales airborne again in that area because that will be suicidal. Pakistan is going to take them down unless they show restraint. So I think that's good that he's kind of telling the world the fact that the Indian Rafale fleet is grounded and they are not getting airborne anywhere. The Rafale are not going to get airborne anywhere in the northern part of the Indian airspace, especially towards their western frontier. Significant.
This is Pakistan air defense environment. Pakistan air defense.
Okay, perfect. I love this. So he's showing you a live picture, okay, of the Pakistani some sensors. So you see these round kind of things with like a small stick coming out in front. That's an aircraft. So the stick which is coming out is telling you the direction of which this roundel is moving. The round thing is the air need not be an aircraft, could be a drone. The round thing is basically whatever that flying object is. And you see they have in different colors, like some are purple, some are red, and on the ground you're showing some air defense kind of artillery thing. So there are some air defense assets. They're showing that. So they're telling you like the air defense environment you see on the left, and then you see the red on the right or the Indian side. So they not only know their environment, they know the entirely what's happening on the Indian side. This is the type of image like I worked on most of the time. Like I was in the air defense, and it's amazing that they are showing this video because not many people get to see this. At any given point in time, the professional air forces they monitor every single thing flying in the air. Plus, they also know their air defense assets on the ground, what they can use, what they can get airborne. So he's showing you the live picture, the recorded picture, and you can see obviously there are more aircraft close to Amritsar and all, and that area there are more Indian aircraft on the other side. I don't know if this is a recording from the exact skirmish. I'm not sure. Maybe it is that because I see a lot of these reds on the Indian side, but he'll talk us through it.
Environment is offensive, it's integrated, it's credible. And I'll show you. I've initiated having no space with their manned aircraft, they initiated with their unmanned aircraft operations, targeting Pakistan's civilian population and their infrastructure. Here you see all these spots all across the swath of drones and UAVs who are coming inside our territory, which is being picked up by all our radars from the moment they were entering, even before that, right? Now, PF's air defense environment is suitably configured to detect enemies' low RCS, radio radar cross section, high and slow speed platforms.
Okay, great. So he's now claiming a capability. Okay, he's saying we are capable of detecting even low RCS, like stealth kind of aircraft, which have low radar cross section. Also, slow and high speed platforms. So, people who need air defense, all the radars typically sensors are Doppler. So, it's very difficult sometimes to pick up slow moving platforms. If you remember, there was this incident in the United States where this high flying balloon came across, and the US air defense was not able to pick up until it was actually on US airspace, because it probably was so slow moving that the radar thought it is a cloud. And so the Chinese kind of deceived the American air defense system. And he's saying we could pick up slow, high speed moving. You can move your drone as slowly as you want. We'll know where it is coming. And he's saying the first Indians started saturating the airspace by sending a lot of drones with an aim to confuse our air defense systems.
Yet you can see that they are all visible by the time they are entering, right?
So he's saying all probably these red things, they're all Indian drones which have entered their side of the territory. But they were able to classify them as drones.
So the anti-drone systems of Pakistan Air Force and Pakistan Army also in Navy, they rendered the enemy US drones attacks ineffective by spoofing, jamming, and making their systems rendering them unserviceable.
Okay, great. Specific words: spoofing, jamming. Okay, so jamming is when you send um, so a lot of radio waves, which kind of creates so much noise for the attacker and their systems that they see all kind of, they can't figure out what is noise and what is clutter, what is signal, where the other things are. Spoofing is, he's saying, we have spoofing capability. We could actually mimic the radar signal, the signal of the offensive platform. So somebody's trying to send radar signal to detect us. We could learn from it, and we could send a spoofing, like a clever message, which the offensive radar unit will read as if it's a return coming back. And we could create fake tracks in the system of the enemy. So if I'm coming, if the Pakistani Air Force has spoofing capability, it will send very clever signals to my system. So I will think, oh, there are 3 aircraft here, 4 aircraft here, while the real aircraft is somewhere else. So that's called, and I don't even know that I'm being jammed. I'm being fooled. That's called spoofing. And so he's saying we were spoofing them. We were making, basically, we were confusing them, and they didn't even knew what was happening.
Right? All drones with low cross section also were detected, rendered useless to utilize the indigenous GPS jamming systems that we have, the data and the SATCOM link denial that we created.
Okay, perfect. So each word is heavy here, okay, full of, he's telling the world the archivist. He said we detected all drones, they were all low RCS, and they were rendered useless. Every single one of them, we rendered them useless. And he said through utilization of indigenous GPS jamming. So basically, they're saying the jammers we had, GPS jammers, were not imported from China or US. We made them in house. And then data and SATCOM link denial systems. We spoofed and we jammed their systems in a way that they could not send any data back, or they could not get navigation from any satellite system, etc. That they might have. Amazing. And then he does not. Yeah, and these, many of these, he said, were indigenous. Basically, they develop it in house.
Okay. To our indigenous systems that we have made ourselves. So whenever,
So you see, in Pakistan has never made this huge Bollywood type movie on Make in Pakistan. India had this whole Make in India kind of whatever you call public glitz, but Pakistan was actually doing it.
those systems were attacked with the soft kill, they had their error induced in their GPSs and they were going haywire. And whenever they were coming to closer to any civil population or civil area of high value, a direct or a hot kill was achieved on them. Like,
I hope that's clear to
so
everyone
again,
here.
you can see they were neutralized mid-air with the hard kill whenever they were coming close to any population or any area. Being in a sparsely populated area, they were left all around and they were applied with a stop kill. Right. Now, after that, in the US chapter.
Okay, amazing, right? So he's saying like they were so confident that these, and they were able to so easily monitor these drones, and not just monitor them, they knew where exactly they are flowing, like which area is sparsely populated. So why waste? You're not going to waste your money. You're going to just use jamming, spoofing to confuse them. And then the moment they are close to highly populated sensitive areas, you basically activate and fire some kind of a missile, which is the hard kill. So he's basically reflecting on how the professionalism and the training of the Pakistani air defense systems.
It was over, and they were feeling PF's retribution. In utter desperation, the IAF resorted to a highly escalatory, very irresponsible surface-to-surface and long-range vector application. You can see this is Suratgarh, and this is our base Rafiki. This is our eastern border, and you can see the BrahMos, high-speed BrahMos, traveling almost at 3,000 kilometers per hour, who are going over there and coming, numerous, one after another. And now they were being attacked with PF's soft kill. We were inducing the errors into them, into the GPSs, which increased their CEP, the probability of a.
Okay, and he's absolutely correct. This information is 100% right. You see, the track originated from Suratgarh, and these are the BrahMos missiles. You see their nose, the stick is too long. Why this is so long? Because the stick not only shows the direction they are going, it also shows the length of that stick, tells you the speed of the if the longer the stick, like the nose, the higher the speed. So you see these are supersonic missiles. So they're traveling so fast that you have these long vectors coming out of them, and you see them getting shot from Suratgarh and coming towards their airbase in Rafiki, and they all came through them one after the another. So the barrage of BrahMos missiles, and they said Indians fired them out of desperation because the drones were ineffective. And he's right, because why would you waste such an expensive missile system, BrahMos, just to attack like an airbase? Okay, because the airbase, like the missile, like BrahMos is a very expensive missile, and how much like conventional explosives you can put on it, if it's a high value target, even if you bomb an airbase, honestly, if you don't know the exact thing you're bombing, like the airbase, like you can bomb a runway as much as you can, in hours they can repair it. Okay, that's what the reality is. So I think what he's showing as a battle today is the battle that happened one day after the I don't know, like what time of this battle space is. I'm guessing this is, he's not showing that air skirmish. He's probably showing when the Pakistani retaliated, and then maybe some kind of retaliation. We'll come to know what time frame this thing happened.
Missing the target increases, and hard kill was also achieved. Here you see one of the US has gone, if by the end of the slide you see one of the US has overshot the target and gone ahead. And this is the radar picture. You can see that they are going, this BrahMos will miss the target and will go ahead and fall in some no man's land.
Amazing. So he's saying while the BrahMos came, they had electronic warfare capability to confuse the missile, and he's actually showing you that you see the track, the missile actually missed and fell in. Man, this is amazing. This level of what he's showing you today here, I'm telling you, nobody will show. This is the level of confidence the Pakistan Air Force has today. You guys are seeing historic pictures of live battle of missiles being fired, overshooting, electronic warfare being deployed. Amazing. I'm really thankful for the Pakistan Air Force for showing all this. And I'm going to just so say it again, like there's a missile going, and you see they said we were able to detect and jam the missiles. That's why many missiles overshot the base. The base was the target, and God knows where they fell. So BrahMos has been effectively neutralized without even firing a bullet from the Pakistani side. They can confuse the missile. Amazing.
And they are being, one after another, they are coming back, crossing the borders. They are being picked, slight They are being picked as soon as they are being launched. So real-time launch, mid-flight and terminal phase of all SSN, PF has the capability, our air defense system, as I just.
You see this, BrahMos? So this is where I was posted. This was my first Bhuj. I totally remember this area. Bhuj, this is where those, ports of Gujarat are. There's the Indian side of Gujarat. There's the Pakistani Air Force. Very familiar with this area. And you see there this BrahMos, which went here. God knows where it is going. It has turned multiple times right now. So it's probably totally confused.
Mentioned is very fancy, integrated, incredible. So here you see that they are being launched from Bhuj area. This is the southern part of the country.
Yeah, Bhuj is where I was. I said this was my first posting. Okay, so the BrahMos battery is in Bhuj, and I think the other one they said was in, if I'm not wrong, in Suratgarh.
And this is our airfield Burari. You must have mentioned. You have seen there were a lot of mention from the our counterparts. Here you see this BrahMos is coming. It's almost reaching the target, and you see when we will apply the soft kill, look what happened to it. It moved left and then disappeared towards the ground.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. You see that? I can replay this video. BrahMos is coming right for the base, but because it is being jammed, it gets confused. It turns left, and it's not easy jamming it. Okay, I'm just using the word jam. They are sophisticatedly spoofing probably the missile and telling it the target is somewhere else, and then it turns left and goes left and drops itself into the desert, whatever that is.
Ajit,
Yes, Saf, go ahead.
Ajit, this was the firing of BrahMos is almost 30 minutes before the retreat of Pakistan. And the second thing is that the storage of BrahMos is in Poonch and Bean City.
Okay, the base is which city you said?
One was in Poonch, and second was in Bean, Beans.
Beans. Okay, we'll talk about that. I think he's talking about S400. What he's showing, this is BrahMos. So BrahMos is in multiple places.
I'm talking about BrahMos storage.
Storage. Okay, got it. Storage could be there, but BrahMos could be fired from anywhere. So these BrahMos were fired. What the picture Air Marshals is showing is from Bhuj, that they fired some BrahMos, and Suratgarh. And it's amazing, guys. I'm telling you, this level of data that they're showing, I had never thought, and that they will show, bringing back old memories from my profession, and it's amazing that how much technology has progressed, and they were able to. And if you noticed, the moment the BrahMos got airborne, literally the moment it got fired, they picked it up. And looking at the vector of that BrahMos, how long that nose is, they knew this is not an aircraft, this is a missile. And they already knew that it is BrahMos missile. And that they already were jamming it, and they were ready. And they could have turned BrahMos left or right, if you see, way before it came close to the target, okay? But this is what cleverness is. They knew where it is headed, and they waited for the last moment, because when you try to jam and spoof, the missile also has counter measures. So it can understand, oh, you're trying to fool me, and it can take some countermeasures to get over your spoofing. So very professional, amazing. Yeah, Ervis, your hand up. Go ahead.
ਗੱਲ ਐਡ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਹੋਵੇਗਾ ਕਿ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਨਾ ਇੱਕ ਮਿਸਲ ਫਾਇਰ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ ਸਿਰਸਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਮੀਆਂ ਚੰਨੂ ਡਿੱਗਾ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਬ੍ਰਾਹਮੋਸ ਨੇ ਚਲਾਇਆ ਸੀ ਯਾਦ ਹੈਗਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ
ਯਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੁਣਿਆ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਗੱਲ ਬਟ ਵੀ ਨੋ ਦੈਟ ਯਾ
ਉਹ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਨਾ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦੀ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡੀ ਬੇਵਕੂਫੀ ਸੀ ਕਿਉਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗ ਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਬ੍ਰਾਹਮੋਸ ਆਂਦਾ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਤੇ ਕਰਦਾ ਕੀ ਹੈ
ਉਹ I remember ਜਿਹੜਾ they ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਗਲਤੀ ਨਾਲ ਚੱਲ ਗਿਆ they claimed India okay so what Erwas is talking about is amazing okay the Indians fired a BrahMos in I think couple of years back like which year was that Erwas I think
ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਤਾਜੀ ਸਹੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਯਾਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ 2 ਸਾਲ ਪੁਰਾਣੀ ਗੱਲ
It was 2 years ago, and it hit Chhatwal area of
Okay,
Pakistan.
okay. Yeah, no, not in Pakistan. It actually fell in Sindh. And so I remember the Indians fired a ballistic BrahMos missile, and which fell in the Sindh area of Pakistan a couple of years back. And it was obviously to test the air defense of Pakistan. Okay, they wanted to see how the Pakistani air reacts. And I think what Arvis is pointing is was their biggest mistake because it gave a full BrahMos to 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 the Pakistanis or something that they probably understood what how it works. Go ahead, Arvis.
ਅੱਛਾ ਭਾਜੀ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਚਲਾਇਆ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਤੋਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗ ਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਨਰਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਨੈਵੀਗੇਸ਼ਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ ਸਿਰਫ ਜੀਪੀਐਸ ਤੇ ਚੱਲਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਜੀਪੀਐਸ ਦੇ ਵੈਕਟਰ ਥਰੋ ਆਫ ਕਰ ਦਿਓ ਨਾ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਿਸ਼ਾਨੇ ਤੋਂ ਹਟ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਗੱਲ ਇਹ ਦੂਜੀ ਗੱਲ ਇਹ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਿਰਸਾ ਤੋਂ ਬ੍ਰਾਹਮੋਸ ਚਲਾਇਆ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਉਹ ਮੀਆਂ ਚੰਨੋ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੋਂ ਟੱਪ ਕੇ ਨਾ ਸਿੱਧਾ ਰਫੀਕੀ ਵੱਲ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਪਿਆ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਰਫੀਕੀ ਮੀਆਂ ਚੰਨੋ ਤੋਂ ਅੱਗੇ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗ ਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ 에ਅਰ ਡਿਫੈਂਸ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਲੈਣਾ ਹੈ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਬ੍ਰਾਹਮੋਸ ਚਲਾਣਾ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਰੋਕਣਾ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਵਜ੍ਹਾ ਤੋਂ ਰਫੀਕੀ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਮਿਸਾਈਲਸ ਇੰਟਰਸੈਪਟ 100% ਹੋਏ
Wow, amazing. And somebody just pinged the Indians fired that missile on 9th of March 2022 and from Ambala and claimed it was fired by mistake. And a huge tactical error. Huge tactical error. Oh my God! I know there are many hands up. So we'll take some questions. We'll kind of pause this. I know this is a very interesting presentation, but we'll take some questions and then we'll go back to the presentation. Abid Paji, you go first.
जीत मेरा सवाल बड़ा सिंपल सा है कल दो प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंसेस हुई एक इंडिया की तरफ से और एक पाकिस्तान की तरफ से यहाँ पे सब इंटेलेक्चुअल्स बैठे हुए हैं मेरा ये सवाल है कि आप क्या डिफरेंसेस देखते हैं दोनों के चेहरे देख के दोनों का बॉडी लैंग्वेज देख
Abid Paji, we'll come to that. I know we don't want to rub their noses in. And that's there. I want to just make Binti Karna Chona. I want to just request if the questions can hold on because at 8:30, 1 hour from now, I have another space where I'm a panelist and I have to go there and attend that space. Unless Paji there kind of asked me, it's okay not to reschedule. So if it is okay, should we continue this presentation and then have another discussion later? I would say so.
how long is the presentation?
I would say it's probably 20 more minutes.
Let's finish and then we can quickly
Yeah, we can quickly take question. Yeah, we're not going to stop the presentation and then we'll quickly take. Okay, let's do that.
I mean, this is the radar evidence that we have that there so many of their vectors missed the targets. A lot of them did make because they were throwing like hundreds of them. Next slide. There's one more very interesting thing that I would like you to all see. This is where it is launched from our eastern side towards Justinmead. This is a raid fix Shahbaz, Sector 1. Now this BrahMos is crossing on top of Shahbaz and it is going towards our western border, almost to our neighboring country towards that. You can see this is going.
That's correct. I think one of them actually, I did see it crossing into Afghanistan or Iran. I could see one track going. It was just, they literally jammed these missiles. It's amazing.
There, it's going ballistic. Now they are not even threatening their neighbor, they are threatening the regional stability of the whole continent.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. If you're firing ballistic missiles into Iran, you're really threatening regional stability because Iran could retaliate against Pakistan and this could start a chain reaction. But I think that's a very, very, very accurate statement given what evidence we are seeing. And probably this is why America intervened. You know, Indians, what are you doing here?
In the larger area. So, effective sensor to shooter grid that was made by PAF and the potent hardened soft kill capability that led to the missed target opportunities for lots of their surface and long range vectors. Right? Now, this is another thing that I want you to all to see. This is a launch of a high-speed projectile that has been launched from their area surrounding Adamkot. But these are the vectors where our radars are picking them, and it is disappearing short of Amritsar area within their own territory. I mean, this is the most absurd kind of a targeting psychology or practice that you would see, that you are not only targeting neighboring countries to your enemy, if they consider it, and your own people as well, jeopardizing their safety. I mean, this is the high-speed project impacting within own territory, and we have other pictures for that also. This is a repeat occurrence that happened the other night also. Right.
Wow. Wow. This is mind-boggling. This is mind-boggling. This was the allegation that the Sikh population of Punjab, which is in conflict, Indian occupied Punjab, has been making, that the Indian armed forces have been firing projectiles at Sikh populated areas with an aim to blame Pakistan, and exactly this is what Air Marshal is showing here. And they have the radar picture, they have the sensor picture. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, Elvis, go ahead.
ਉੱਤੇ ਟਵੀਟ ਪਿੰਨ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਹੈਗਾ ਜੀ ਤੁੰਗ ਵਾਲੀ ਪਿੰਡ ਹੈਗਾ ਬਠਿੰਡਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਾ ਇਹ ਮਿਜ਼ਾਈਲ ਡਿੱਗਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ। ਹੁਣ ਇਹ ਮਿਜ਼ਾਈਲ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਸੋਲਰ ਪੈਨਲ ਦੇ ਥੱਲੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਪਿਛਲੀ ਮੋਟਰ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਪਈ ਹੈ, ਫਿਰ ਦੂਜੀ ਪਾਸੇ ਖੇਤ ਦੇ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਟੁਕੜਾ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਪਿਆ, ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਇਸ ਪਾਸੇ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਦਾ ਟੁਕੜਾ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਪਿਆ। ਇਹ ਮਿਜ਼ਾਈਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਤਸਵੀਰਾਂ ਚੁੱਕੋ, ਇਹ ਗਰੋਕ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਕੋਲ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਹੈਗਾ। ਇਹ ਤਸਵੀਰ ਇੱਥੇ ਪਾਓ ਤੇ ਗਰੋਕ ਨੂੰ ਕਹੋ ਇਹ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਮਿਜ਼ਾਈਲ ਦਾ ਟੁਕੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ। ਉਹ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸੇਗਾ ਇਹ S-125 ਪਿਚੋਰਾ ਦਾ ਟੁਕੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਕੋਲ ਹੈਗਾ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬਠਿੰਡਾ 에ਅਰਬੇਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਲੱਗੇ ਹੋਏ। ਇਹ ਸਬੂਤ ਹੈਗਾ ਜੀ ਇਸ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਧਾਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮਿਜ਼ਾਈਲ ਵਜੇ ਉਹ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦਾ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ।
ਅਮੇਜ਼ਿੰਗ ਪਿਚੋਰਾ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮਿਜ਼ਾਈਲ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਕੋਲ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ। ਮੈਂ ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਪੂਰਾ ਵਾਕਿਫ ਹਾਂ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੰਟਰੋਲ ਕਰਦਾ ਰਿਹਾ, ਤੇ ਇਟ ਇਜ਼ ਜਸਟ ਮਾਈਂਡ ਬੋਗਲਿੰਗ ਵਾਟ ਦੇ ਆਰ ਡੂਇੰਗ। ਤੇ ਇਹ ਜੋ ਫਰਸਟ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਚ ਆ ਕੇ ਇੰਡੀਆ, ਹੁਣ ਇਹਦੇ ਦੋ ਉਹ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਐਕਸਪਲੇਨੇਸ਼ਨ। ਫਸਟ ਐਕਸਪਲੇਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਇਜ਼ ਦੇ ਆਰ ਟੋਟਲੀ ਇਨਕੰਪੀਟੈਂਟ ਐਂਡ ਦਿਸ ਇਕਵਿਪਮੈਂਟ ਟੋਟਲੀ ਇਜ਼ ਫਾਲਟੀ। ਤੇ ਪਿਚੋਰਾ ਦੇ ਕੇਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਆ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਹੀ ਥਕਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਹੈ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਉਹ। ਤੇ ਬਟ ਇੰਨੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਣਾ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, 5 ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ। ਤੇ ਦੈਟ ਰੇਜ਼ਿਸ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਡੈਲੀਬਰੇਟ ਟਾਰਗੇਟ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਅੰਦਰ। ਤੇ ਦੂਜਾ ਮੈਂ ਇੰਟਰਸਟਡ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਜੇ ਬਾਈ ਚਾਂਸ ਕੋਈ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹਾ ਸਿਸਟਮ, ਮਿਜ਼ਾਈਲ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿ ਇੰਨਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਇਟਸ ਨਾਟ ਦੈਟ ਇਨਕੰਪੀਟੈਂਟ ਲਾਈਕ ਬ੍ਰਹਮੋਸ, ਜੇ ਉਹਦਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਐਵੀਡੈਂਸ ਮਿਲ ਗਿਆ ਨਾ, ਤੇ ਬਟ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੋਚ ਲੈਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਆ ਵਿਦ ਦਿਸ ਐਵੀਡੈਂਸ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਹ ਇੰਡੀਅਨ ਸਟੇਟ ਆ, ਇਟ ਕੁਡ ਐਕਚੁਅਲੀ ਬੀ ਲਾਈਕ ਇਟਸ ਸਰਪ੍ਰਾਈਜ਼ਿੰਗ ਲਾਈਕ what they are doing. There have been all these allegations by the Sikhs that the Indian systems are deliberately targeting the Sikh population, their own population, because they are scared that the Sikhs are getting sympathetic to Pakistan. Anyways, let's continue playing this. We'll come back to this topic. I want to make sure we see the whole presentation. I know TSI, go ahead, your hand, you have been raised for quite some time. Go ahead.
जी बाजी की आचार्य द्वारा जी I am the same one actually.
I know.
अच्छा मैंने भी कल से तो प्रोग्राम भाई अस्सलाम वालेकुम लॉन्ग टाइम। तो अच्छा मैंने आपसे ये बात करनी है बाजी कल है सो कि आज मैं इंडियन से सुनी है प्रेस में सुनिया मैं कि it seemed like these guys are shocked कि वो जड़ा है ना इन्हां दा ते बिल्कुल सारे सिस्टम they were saying that we were basically jammed, यानी कि उन्हां दा जड़ा इक्विपमेंट है प्लेटफॉर्म्स है ने they were not basically able to perform ते हुन मैनू नहीं पता कि आज दी ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ या ਇਹਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਹੈ या how much time you have.
Yeah, actually we have little time today. We'll discuss their reaction, but the presentation is proving that TSI, it is actually showing that the difference, like if I was on the Indian Air Force side, like I would be shocked. Like they have it's total air superiority, air dominance. It's mind-boggling. And I think let's go through the presentation because there's a lot more evidence that Air Marshal is sharing. Let's go through it. Yeah.
Now the TS response, I would like you all to pay attention to that because this is kind of a busy slide, but I will go one by one so that it's all clear. PF's response, PF's effective spectrum warfare, which supplemented the kinetic ops that we envisaged to take. The integrated, seamless, synchronous utilization of EW, cyber, and space domains, coupled with the synergetic all-domain offensive response, which orchestrated following a very intricate targeting the mechanism that we undertook to engage the targets of swift, calibrated, effect-based approach to operations, which was undertaken across complete swath of the Indian Western Front. Now you have seen
Okay, these are all very specific military terms, and they all carry deep, heavy meanings. And so, PF's effective spectrum warfare supplementing kinetic ops. Okay, integrated, seamless, and synchronous utilization of electronic warfare, cyber, and space domains. So they were fighting across all three domains: electronic warfare domain, electromagnetic spectrum, basically, cyber. So there was cyber warfare going on, space. So they were effectively utilizing space-based platforms for the entire, operation. So that's why it led to a synergistic all-domain offensive. So the response was an offensive response against all these domains that he highlighted: electronic warfare, cyber, space, and kinetic domains. And response was orchestrated following an intricate target mech. So they had a full plan of which targets they're going for, and effect-based operations. So let's just continue what he says.
montage that the whole border was exposed by PF and our armed forces. So starting from the north across LOC till Kandla, with targets including airfields, ammo dumps, as far and as deep as Delhi. I mean, you can say something about Islamabad, which is a stone's throw distance, and Delhi, with, as the DG Asker mentioned, some others cards up our sleeves with more ranges. The Barnala C2 Center, which is the heart of their ISECS.
That is correct. Absolutely correct. The Barnala C2 Center is the heart of India's ISECS. ISECS, I think the full form was, it actually had started setting up when I was retiring, but I had seen it. It's set up totally by Israelis. It had all kind of sensors, satellite sensors. It had an aerostat radar, all kind of pictures. I think the full form of the ISECS was Integrated Air Defense Command and Control Center or System. That's the full form of ISECS. It basically combines the picture of all the sensors into one system. So you can call it some kind of a data link for ground-based and air-based sensors. And so they targeted that. My question will be how much damage they caused, because that's a strategic asset. The ISCCS, if they targeted and they're claiming they targeted, that's not a small thing. Okay, that's huge. That's the nerve center of all the operations that Indian Air Force is going to be running across that entire border. Okay, that Bathinda. So if they were in Barnala, if they were able to take it out, Indian Air Force cannot fight. If that ISCCS center is blown, Indian Air Force is blind. Indian Air Force cannot fight. That's a fact. And if they were able to take it out, game is over. Air Force cannot get airborne. Like, if there's no point of now getting into suicidal missions. Go ahead, Irvis.
ਅਜੀਤ ਭਾਜੀ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਆਖਰੀ ਟਵੀਟ ਲਾਈ ਹੈ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦੀ ਸੈਟਲਾਈਟ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੈਂਟਰ ਨੂੰ ਫੈਸਿਲਿਟੇਟ ਕਰਦੀ ਕਮਿਊਨੀਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ INSAT 4F ਜਿਸ ਨੂੰ GSAT 7A ਵੀ ਕਹੀਦਾ ਹੈ ਇਹਦੀ ਪੂਰੀ ਡਿਟੇਲ ਲਿਖੀ ਪਈ ਹੈ
Oh, wow. So they jammed basically the satellite, or at least the signal communication that was happening between the satellite and the drones. Amazing. Let's continue the presentation.
And other airfields, Nalia Bhuj and Kandla, as they mentioned, you can see, Google it also so that you can see the effects. PF's hypersonic missiles, unmanned force, standard weapons, and long-range vectors all were on the menu for the multi-domain operations that we undertook. So PF utilization of niche and disruptive capabilities struck deep inside them. And there were like hundreds of drones that were there. Hypersonic, engaged targets, deep, precise, lethal, destructive. Slide. But just go back. I will explain the slide that is coming ahead. So
Okay, so let's quickly go through the bases that they claim they attacked. Srinagar airfield, Avantipur airfield, Rajouri. Rajouri, they're not saying they attacked the airfield, so probably some kind of an army installation. Udhampur airfield, Pathankot airfield, Adampur airfield, Harwara airfield, Suratgarh airfield. These are all very, very strategic centers. Okay, Ambala airfield. Ambala airfield is where the Rafales are. They also are claiming that they had attacked certain targets within Delhi. Delhi is the national capital of India. Barnala C2 Center, I already talked about it. Bathinda Airfield, Sirsa Airfield, Nalia Airfield, and Bhuj Airfield. Nalia and Bhuj airfields are in Gujarat, in the Kutch region, very close to each other, but very strategic.
Our aim was to achieve ascendancy in effects so that we manage the escalation. Throughout the conflict of whatever length it was, we had the escalation management at our side. So within a short span of time of couple of hours, we had really saturated our friendly neighborhood. Next slide. This much talked about S-400 threat. As I mentioned that we were giving special attention to the Rafales in the air. So we gave our remaining part of our attention to the S-400 on ground. Now identifying S-400, attacking them is a easier part than identifying it on ground because it's mobile, it's a high value thing, and you guard it. It's kind of a center of gravity. So we were tracking through our satellite imagery well before the hostilities, as we usually do. So we had pinpointed S-400. As you can see, we knew that this is part. It's cheeseboard radar and the other part of the radar, the other constituents of the whole S4 battery. Slide. These coordinates, go back. These coordinates were ortho-rectified by our space department so that you have a very precise engagement. Whenever you are throwing and employing long-range vectors, you really need very precise coordinates so that you don't miss. So S400 was at Adampur was targeted like that. Next, as I mentioned, some niche technologies and capabilities were employed. So our diverter munition and killer drone strike appear. At Udhampur, you can see this was their complex and command and control magnified before and after. It's not there. Now these kind of pictures.
Oh, so they're showing now the before and after of the basically the battle damage assessment. They're giving before and after picture. Amazing, amazing. That's true. You can see the Udhampur airfield before picture is right in the middle. Inside the circle, you can see this particular building, okay, which has a kind of a structure here, and this is the after where the structure is basically gone. So you see they're showing off their capabilities, multiple capabilities in one picture. They're showing off that they knew exactly. They had intelligence. They had satellite pictures to pinpoint where the strategic assets were. They were tracking those strategic assets. Shows how professional they were. Tracking an S400 battery is not easy. It's not a huge target, so it can be moved in the dark, in all kind of ways. But they were constantly tracking it. So then once they attack, you have to attack with precision. That's where, like, you can, if you don't have precision, you're going to miss your target. But if you have precision, because these bombs are big, but they are not like they can't take out a whole area of like 500 like a kilometer. It's very precise, a couple of 100 meters. You are effective. So you want precision, and then after the precision, what he's also showing is they have the capability to do battle damage assessment. So whether these are drone pictures or satellite pictures, they have full capability to monitor where India's strategic assets are. They already knew, and they can target them any given point in time. That's what he's showing off.
Loads of pictures are there for targets. So I need not to show them. They were saying it themselves, as you saw on the montage. So PF's response remained very effective, very potent, and very effect-based. Time and place of own choosing, displaying bold, aggressive, and unwavering resolve of military leadership. I must take a moment to mention.
You see, look, like this is the professional. Like when he reads unwavering resolve of, he doesn't read the word brave. Okay, He says military leadership. Okay, that's a true professional. Okay, he doesn't want to sound too bombastic. So whosoever typed it here probably typed it here, but then when he was kind of reading it, he made a decision on the fly that doesn't make sense to. It doesn't make sense to. Okay. Oh, can you guys hear me, or was I audible till now? My phone had locked. Okay. My phone was locked, so I was worried if I'm audible. Freedom Party, there are some requests for speaker. You can look at them and approve them if they're okay. I'll continue the presentation.
What kind of a pressure you have when this kind of a conflict arises? And I must appreciate the leadership, both Chief of the Army Staff and Chief of the Air Staff, both. They were both very resolute and very clear in giving instructions to all of us who are the players towards the Navy, Army, and the Air Force. And that is perhaps the reason we were so sure about it, what we had to do. In speed and direction, sometimes you have to prioritize direction more than the speed. So we had the correct directions to follow. Slide. With unprecedented reach, precision, lethality, while avoiding collect.
Sorry, who is this? Hey, I request people not to speak unless.
I'm sorry, the mic.
Okay, please keep yourself mute. Thank you.
As we have seen in the video montage, IAF hit maximum number of IAF airfields in a single operational package since 1971, because they crossed the international border since that, so we had to do that.
So this is very important. What they're saying, they were avoiding collateral damage, so they didn't want to harm the civilian population at all. And this is the maximum number of airfields that the Pakistan have ever hit in a single operational package since 1971. Yeah, it's amazing the number of airfields they hit in one go. Phenomenal.
Like, while re-establishing deterrence, Pakistan negated the setting of a new normal under the hegemonistic design of a supremacist regime to swift and effective response. Right.
Oh, very important. Okay. So while re-establishing deterrence, so what he's telling you what Pakistan Defense Forces posture is. It is deterrence. It is never offensive. Pakistan knows its limitations, that it is a smaller economy, smaller country. So as long as it can have deterrence with India, and India has hostile intentions, and India's posture is always offensive. They want to, like you will hear terms like brass, like cold start and whatnot. So and their posture is deterrence. They want to be able to deter India, and it shows like self awareness, okay, and professionalism. And they said we negated in this whole operation the objective of India. One of the military objectives of India was to set a new normal. The new normal is anytime India conducts a false flag small terror operation in its own geography, India will come and treat Pakistan as a punching bag and conduct some kind of operation, and then rally around its own population around it. And it's an often, so it's called the new normal they wanted to set. And they said we negated the setting of a new normal under the hegemonistic and supremacist regime, which is the Indian state, through swift and effective response. Every word is heavy worded, accurate, professional.
On a closing note, from Pakistan Air Force, PF remains committed to ensure Pakistan's airspace sovereignty and pursue peace with strength. Thank you.
You see, amazing. And he's basically summing it up. It is peace through strength. They know India has hegemonistic, supremacist intentions, and it can only be deterred through strength. And if we are not strength, we don't have the strength, we'll not be able to maintain peace. So peace through strength. And I think this is an army which is worthy of being a legacy of Maharaja Ranjit Singh's army. You will not remember when the Lahore Empire was there, the Sikh Empire. The army was always professional, the number one army. And Pakistan Air Force comes out across today. Probably, I have not seen this professional presentation and performance by any Air Force that is proven in the very near history. Man, they have to be. They should be very proud of what they did. Anyways, let's go on.
So
Ladies and gentlemen, after these presentations, you can understand that Army, Air Force, and Navy, the tri-service synergy that was exhibited, and all the three services acted jointly like one body. And just a mention on the air bases that were targeted by the Indians. We have the post damage assessment report from all. There has been certain infrastructure damage. Of course, there has been only one aircraft has minor damage, which will be repaired and soon operational again. Because the air defense system of Pakistan worked efficiently and very effectively. A few examples of that have been given to you by the aviation emergency. The drones that came in, 84 were shot and they never went back. And we also promise you that they can send anything. Whatever they will send, it will not go back. So that's a promise also that we kept. So now we can start with the question and answer. And before that, we again first bow our head in humility, Almighty Allah, for giving us this great success and the people of Pakistan for the support that was with the armed forces. And the armed forces and the people of Pakistan were one body again. They worked together for thwarting this threat against this motherland. You can have the question.
Oh, well deserved. We might not have time to go through the full Q&A that the general did, and there could be interesting information there. I think we should keep next half an hour for Q&A with our audience here. And there are many people who have taken it and they've been waiting patiently. Elvis, let's move to you first, and
एक गल पहले कहता है थले आए ने कर्नल मकबूल साहब आए ने काइंडली इन्होंने जरा माइक दियो जरा प्लीज
ਕੀ ਨਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਰਨਲ
मकबूल साहब
ਅੱਛਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਫਾਈਲ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੱਸੋਗੇ ਨਾਮ ਪੂਰਾ ਕਰ
him to send him a request I will pick him up उनको रिक्वेस्ट भेज दो मैं चेक करना चलो ठीक ओके
because I can't make out thale bahut bande baithe ne. I'm trying to figure out, or if you can tell him his profile name.
मकबूल नाम है मकबूल
Makbul, okay. I'm trying to figure out where he is. But if you can send a request, that will be ideal.
glasses and tie
Glasses and tie, okay. I can't see that profile, unfortunately. I'll request Colonel Makbul to ask for a speaker if he is listening to us. Oh, here it is. Here it is. I see it. Yeah. Colonel, do you have the speaker? Okay, he's connecting right now. Colonel, welcome to my space. Colonel Makbul, thank you for joining.
Ji, thank you very much for accepting me.
Yeah, no, I'm humbled that you decided to take your time out and join our space. Colonel, I'm not familiar with your background, but it'll be interesting to. I'm not sure if you did you get to watch the presentation by DGISPR along with the Air Marshal, and I'm pretty sure you've been following this skirmish that happened between India and Pakistan. Can you share any thoughts you have? Like what are you thinking? Please go ahead. The floor is yours.
Ji, Ajit Saab, thank you very much. I'm humbled. As a matter of fact, I was listening to your commentary on the presentation, and it sounded very, very professional. And I'm really impressed with your knowledge, and I'm really impressed with your understanding of the operation. And I have watched these presentations not once, twice, and I'm going to see them 3 times. And in my notebook, in my strategy study notebook, there are a few things that are absolutely new to me, and I have noted them, and I'm going to use them in my future research also. My personal background, I was commissioned in Pakistan Armed Corps. I'm a cavalry officer in 1969. My PMA course is 42nd PMA, and I was very fortunate in the second year of my career. I took part in 1971 war, and I fought in Chamjodiya, and I was injured in action, and I wear an equivalent Purple Heart from Pakistan Army. Ever since I've done operations, command, staff, instruction, as well as diplomatic duties. Presently, I am in the United States of America. And Mr. Anis, the TSI, Thinkers Syndicate International, is our think tank. And we do the research, write papers. And other than that, my personal business is defense procurement. I'm a man who belongs to the defense industrial complex. This is a small introduction of mine, and I'm deeply impressed with your knowledge and your conduct of this commentary on a very, very professional presentation by Pakistan's what do you call it? Pakistani official version of this operation. Thank you.
Yeah, Colonel, if I may ask you a couple of questions now that we have the benefit of your presence here. But thanks for your kind words, first of all. I'm pretty sure I made many mistakes. I had very limited, I had only 6-7 years of service. So I might have made some wrong assumptions and all. So, but now that you are here, can you share some insight of what were your learnings from these operations? I know you made a couple of, any insights you got, any surprises you got. What is your assessment? Also, I'm interested in, like, I was surprised personally by the amount of gap in capability and training and professionalism, I would have to say, between the Indian Air Force and Pakistani Air Force. We knew the Pakistani Air Force had a bit of an edge, but that edge so big? I was not aware. But what's your take? Is my reading right that the gap is huge? And what were your learnings as a military man that you took?
Great question. Thank you very much. I may not be that brilliant or that competent, but ever since my commission in the service, it has almost been over 50 years. I've been a student of military strategy. I've been a student of operations and tactics as well. And my study and my knowledge is separate, but the experience I had in the actual war, actual battle, and after that, my instructional job or say assignments in the armed forces have been very, 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 very interesting and challenging. The question you asked, the gap, is absolutely right. The gap was such that it really required not only professional knowledge, it required a lot of leadership, a lot of appreciation, the military appreciation, if you understand what appreciation is. And the conduct of war is different than the concept of operation. Concept of operation in this case was extremely challenging. You had to keep the deterrence in mind, and you had to keep the threat level in mind. This was a very, very, I would say, different threat than a usual threat. It wasn't a border skirmish. India had definitely planned something well before time. And
This was, though, one of those usual false flags, but the timing of this false flag was very, very unique, I would say. What I see from from the timing of this, what do you call it? This was a mischief by the Indian intelligence, and of course the what do you call it? The cyber warfare directorate. What they wanted to achieve was a preemption of fear. They had underestimated Pakistan's combat and operational capability. And this was the biggest win for Pakistan. India was living in illusions. They were not following, their intelligence was absolutely faulty. They did not know the capability. And of course, the adoption of the modern warfare by Pakistan Army and developing their future capabilities in light of the modern spectrums of war. They thought that Pakistan had that 1970s Army, Navy, and Air Force, whereas we were working on modernizing the entire operational spectrum, starting from space, electronic, electromagnetic, space, cyber, and AI. All these things, with the Chinese collaboration, we were excelling in our capability on a daily basis. And it went so fast that in a matter of 3 years, Pakistan's operational and combat capability, capacity, and competence was redoubled, rather tripled in many cases. So this was, they wanted to get the best result out of a surprise element, but that surprise did not work. They did not even know. Surprise, as you know, is a principle of war. They could not get the best out of it, whereas they could easily do that. But they went after the petty gains from day one. Their first attack on Bawalpur and other 3 places in Pakistan was a faulty operational decision by someone. They got compromised right there. And Pakistan was expecting this kind of a mischief. I keep using the word mischief because it was nothing more than a petty mischief. Those strategists or generals or operation specialists in India did not appreciate and did not understand the kind of concept of operation they had in their mind was faulty. It was a limited war. Had it been a ground combat, the situation would have been totally different. As it was a limited operation of the Air Force and maybe some kind of engagement on the LFC. Both places, Pakistan had done their homework and they knew how to respond. And as far as the aerial combat is concerned, India did not get the lesson from Operation Bandar Operation Bandar of 2019. This had a lot of lessons in it, but they ignored it and they thought it was only a bogey by Pakistan. They were misleading their country, misleading their armed forces by false, what I call it, mis and dis, which they were using against Pakistan, virtually came to haunt them. I stop right here. Thank you.
No, it's so great point, Colonel, you're making. And I was talking about this to people who join here. The key to, I'm an Air Force veteran, the key to Air Force's professionalism is honest debrief. Like the training is all about debrief. We exercise, we do combat for probably 30 minutes, but then we debrief sometimes for days because the learnings, you want to know the limitation, you want to know the mistakes, and you want to fill them up. And I think in the Balakot, when the political establishment made the Air Force tell a lie to the entire world, they basically lied to themselves. And I was at that point in time, I had raised it that this is going to bring down the professionalism and operational efficiency of the Indian Air Force, because there's huge learnings in Balakot, huge gaps that have come across about Indian Air Force capability, and it's a big opportunity to fill them up. And none of that will be filled up if you make a lie at a political level and make your generals lie, because now they can't tell their junior officers, go down and have an honest discussion. And because that honest discussion never happened, we see that they made this huge miscalculation. But Colonel, I don't know how much you're familiar with the Indian system, but for whatever little knowledge I have, I'm not surprised by their pettiness and their petty mischief, because, and I want to kind of bat a bit on behalf of the Air Force officers and the generals. They are not in charge. What is in charge there is probably a very rogue, I would call him a criminal, whose track record we all know. Okay, there's the prime minister who hates people based upon their religion, and then there is the NSA who rules the roost, who has no combat experience, but all through his life he is known for conducting, these petty crimes, and he was caught conducting it in even Canada, hiring gangsters. It's not even intelligence; it's gangsterism. Somebody named it. And so that is the level of professionalism of their covert agencies. But to the point, what I want to hear from you, Colonel, is what is your assessment of the ground forces? Like before this skirmish, yeah. Haan ji, Arvind. Okay. Yeah, because we are, yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I'll just go ahead. Yeah.
सर मकबूल सॉरी मैं जंप इन कर रहा हूँ हजीर भाजी मैं थोड़े डिसएग्री करांगा कि उन्होंने कोई इंप्रूवमेंट नहीं की थी उन्होंने इंप्रूवमेंट की थी उस इंप्रूवमेंट तो बाद मोदी ने हरकत की थी उन्होंने तो समझाना उन्होंने इंप्रूवमेंट की थी जेड़ा इंडियन एयर फोर्स का प्लान सी वो बंदा प्लान नहीं सी चंगा प्लान सी लेकिन पाकिस्तानी एयर फोर्स उसको आउटस्मार्ट करती है गल मेरी बड़े गौर नाल सुनना S400 ਦੀ ਇੱਕ ਬੈਟਰੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਪੂੰਛ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਦੂਜੀ ਬੈਟਰੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਆਦਮਪੁਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਪੂੰਛ ਵਾਲੀ ਬੈਟਰੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੀ ਕਿਲ ਰੇਂਜ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ 400 ਕਿਲੋਮੀਟਰ ਡਿਟੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਰੇਂਜ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ 600 ਕਿਲੋਮੀਟਰ ਆਦਮਪੁਰ ਵਾਲੇ ਦੀ ਕਿਲ ਰੇਂਜ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ 400 ਕਿਲੋਮੀਟਰ ਡਿਟੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਰੇਂਜ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ 600 ਕਿਲੋਮੀਟਰ ਜੇ ਆਦਮਪੁਰ ਵਾਲੀ ਬੈਟਰੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੇਖੋ ਤੇ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮਿਡਲ ਆਫ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਜਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਵੀ ਏਅਰ ਬੇਸਾਂ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਕਵਰ ਕਰਦੀ ਹੈ ਜੇ ਪੂੰਛ ਵਾਲੀ ਵੇਖੋ ਤੇ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਦੀ ਨਾਰਥ ਦੀ ਜਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਵੀ ਏਅਰ ਬੇਸਾਂ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਉਹ ਕਵਰ ਕਰਦੀ ਹੁਣ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਦਾ ਇਸ ਲਿਹਾਜ਼ ਨਾਲ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਜਹਾਜ਼ ਵੀ ਹਵਾ 'ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਸੀ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਦਾ ਇਸ ਲਿਹਾਜ਼ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਜਹਾਜ਼ ਵੀ ਹਵਾ 'ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਸੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਰੇਂਜਾਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਜਾਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਜਹਾਜ਼ ਉੱਡਣਾ ਸੀ S400 ਨੇ ਖਾ ਜਾਣਾ ਸੀ ਅੱਜ ਮਾਡਰਨ ਦੌਰ ਹੈਗਾ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਟਾਰਗੇਟ ਲੌਕ ਕਰ ਲਓ ਨਾ ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਜਹਾਜ਼ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੀ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਜਹਾਜ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਅੱਛਾ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਨੇ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ S400 ਤੋਂ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਬਚਿਆ ਤੇ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਜਹਾਜ਼ ਹਵਾ 'ਚ ਪਾਏ ਤੇ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਰਫਾਲ ਸੁੱਟੇ ਹੁਣ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਬੜੀ ਚੰਗੀ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਦੇਣਾ ਆਦਮਪੁਰ ਦੀ ਬਠਿੰਡਾ ਹੀ ਰਫਾਲ ਡਿੱਗਾ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪੂੰਛ ਵਾਲੀ ਬੈਟਰੀ ਆਦਮਪੁਰ ਵਾਲੀ ਬੈਟਰੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਉਹਦੀ ਰੇਂਜ ਹੈਗੀ ਕਿੰਨੀ 400 ਕਿਲੋਮੀਟਰ ਕਿਲ ਰੇਡੀਅਸ ਹੈ ਬਠਿੰਡਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਰਫਾਲ ਡਿੱਗਾ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਨੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡੀ ਰੇਂਜ ਹੈ ਜੇ ਮਿਜ਼ਾਈਲ ਵੀ ਮਾਰਿਆ ਤਾਂ PL-15 ਹੈਗਾ PL-15 ਦੀ ਰੇਂਜ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ 200 ਤੋਂ 250 ਦੇ ਦਰਮਿਆਨ ਨੂੰ ਐਸਕੇਪ ਜ਼ੋਨ ਹੈਗੀ ਅੱਛਾ ਜਿਸ ਜਹਾਜ਼ ਵੀ ਰਾਫੇਲ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਮਿਜ਼ਾਈਲ ਮਾਰਿਆ ਉਹ S-400 ਦੀ ਕਿਲ ਰੇਂਜ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈਗਾ ਸੀ। ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਦਾ ਜਹਾਜ਼ ਕਿਉਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਡਿੱਗਾ? ਕਿਉਂਕਿ S-400 ਤਬਾਹ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕਿਆ ਸੀ। ਤਾਂ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ 에ਅਰਫੋਰਸ ਹਵਾਈ ਚ ਆਈ। ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ 에ਅਰਫੋਰਸ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਜਹਾਜ਼ ਦੇ ਕੇ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਕੋਲ S-400 ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਸੀ। ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਬੜੀ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਦੇਣਾ। ਉਦਮਪੁਰ ਵਾਲੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੈਟਲਾਈਟ ਦੀ ਤਸਵੀਰ ਦੇਖੀਏ ਬੇਸ ਦੀ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਦਮਪੁਰ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹਦੀ ਟੋਟਲ ਲੈਂਥ ਹੈ 2500 ਮੀਟਰ, ਇਹ ਬਣਦਾ 2.5 ਕਿਲੋਮੀਟਰ। ਪਿਛਲਾ ਪੇਮੈਂਟ ਅਗਲਾ ਪੇਮੈਂਟ ਲਾ ਕੇ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੇਮੈਂਟ ਕੱਢ ਦਿਓ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਬਣਦਾ 2400 ਕਿਲੋਮੀਟਰ। ਉਦਮਪੁਰ ਬੇਸ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਸੈਂਟਰ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਰਨਵੇ ਉੱਡਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ। ਉਹ ਕ੍ਰੇਟਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਹੈਗਾ 300 ਮੀਟਰ ਦਾ ਕ੍ਰੇਟਰ ਹੈਗਾ। ਇਸ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੈ ਉਦਮਪੁਰ ਦੀ 에ਅਰ ਬੇਸ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਪੂਰੀ ਉਹ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤੀ, ਨਕਾਰਾ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤੀ। ਉਹਦੇ ਤੋਂ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਜਹਾਜ਼ ਉੱਡ ਸਕਦਾ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਲੈਂਡ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਸੀ। ਉਦਮਪੁਰ ਦਾ ਰਨਵੇ ਬੜਾ ਵੱਡਾ ਹੈ। ਉਦਮਪੁਰ ਤੋਂ ਉੱਡਣੀ ਕੀ ਸੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ AWACS। ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਨੇ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਬੇਸਾਂ ਦੇ ਰਨਵੇ ਸੈਂਟਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਡਾਏ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ AWACS ਉੱਡਣ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿੱਤੇ। ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਨੇ S-400 ਸਿਸਟਮ ਉਡਾ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਦੋਵੇਂ। ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ 에ਅਰਫੋਰਸ ਨੇ ਇੰਡੀਅਨ 에ਅਰਫੋਰਸ ਨੂੰ ਹਵਾਈ ਚ ਤੋਇਆ। ਇਹ ਹੋਇਆ ਪਿਆ। ਮੋਦੀ ਪਲਾਨ ਬੜਾ ਸਹੀ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਸੀ।
Wow.
You mean to say ਪਹਿਲਾਂ S-400 destroy ਕੀਤੇ, ਬਾਅਦ 에ਅਰ ਫਾਈਟ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ?
ਨਹੀਂ ਉਹ ਹਾਂ ਉਹ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ।
ਰਾਜ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਆ ਸਕਦਾ ਸਾ? S-400 ਸਿਸਟਮ ਜਹਾਜ਼ਾਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਮੌਤ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ। ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੰਗੀ ਹੈ ਇਹਨਾਂ S-400 ਉਡਾਏ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਹਵਾਈ ਚ ਆਏ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ।
Okay, my God, that's phenomenal.
मैं एक सेंटेंस कहने की इजाजत चाहूंगा। अरजीत साहब, असल this war was not a single domain war. It was a multi-domain war. We had started, punishing the targets from the base up. First of all, we did the softening up through the cyber domain. Second thing, we took the electronic and electromagnetic domain. The proper softening up of the targets were done. Jammings were in place. Your Air Force, most of the bases were not listening anything. Some of them are not seeing anything. This is how the softening up took place. वैसे तो एक जरा classical तरीका होता है, तो you start artillery fire on them for 2 days or 3 days before you come out of the FUPs. This thing was adopted. I mean, this strategy was adopted with a lot of thought, lot of कुछ चीजें ऐसी हैं, कुछ हिंदुस्तान की फौज हर चीज को फॉर ग्रांटेड है। मेरे साडी फौज का एक तरीका शुरू होए है कि we do more realistic plans, doable plans होंगे ने जिन्होंने तुसी पहले प्रैक्टिस करो, रिहर्स करो और उन्होंने इवैल्यूएट करो, वॉर गेम करो, उन्होंने ड्राई रिहर्सल्स करो पहले। This is what the exercises are. And this was being done by Pakistan for the last 2 years. Ever since Indian armed forces were engaged by the Chinese in the north, we shared all the results. Pakistan's and Chinese armed forces, their interoperability was one of the factors of this success. So, बरवाना साहब की बात बिल्कुल ठीक है, लेकिन इसके अंदर मैं ये एक चीज ऐड करना चाहता हूँ कि it was not a single domain operation. It was a multi-domain operation. Thank you.
That's a very, very interesting thing, and it has got my mind running because it seems the warfare has progressed way beyond. Like, I retired in 2008, 2000, yeah, 2009, 2008. And then that time, like, we had no concept of this multi-domain. Electronic warfare was new. It was there, but it was very basic. The what I'm really interested in is, Ervis, what you have laid out is like very interesting, because now my question is, and it's probably linked to what Colonel just said, but I want to get into the bit of nitty gritty of it. So you are saying that the Indian aircraft got airborne and they're building up this package. The Pakistanis don't know whether they are going to be hostile, at least on paper, unless they had advanced intelligence, and that's where probably the multi-domain operation thing comes in. Yeah.
Pakistan always knew when India was going to attack. So ये तो उन्होंने proof चाहिए है, ये proof लगा हुआ है उत्ते, ये मैं tweet उत्ते लाई है, इनके विच इंडिया जिले जितने भी headquarter ने ना, ये उन्हां दी जिहड़ी conference call है, उनकी screenshot दी तस्वीर है, उन्हां दा जिहड़ा communication system है, वो है कि ऐसी तस्वीर उनका proof है, ये देख लो अपनी अखां नाल.
You're absolutely right, Gavarwana. You're absolutely right. They were underestimating us, from the get-go. But they got caught, and that time they could not even withdraw. They could not even abort. Actually, we had them aborted, by choice, by planning the operation in such a way that they are disengaged from the real-time operation. This was not, for India, it was not a real-time operation. And we had thought from the get-go that we employ the air operation at the end. And that was a great decision. And our Air Force strategists, they executed it perfectly well. You are from the Air Force, you know.
ਸਭ ਬੋਲੇ ਛੋਟਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਪੁਆਇੰਟ ਸੌਰੀ ਅਜੀ ਭਾਜੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਏਅਰਬੇਸ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਬੁਲੇਰੀ ਇਹ ਕਰਾਚੀ ਤੋਂ ਹੈਦਰਾਬਾਦ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਇਹਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਨਾ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਇੱਕ ਬ੍ਰਾਹਮੋਸ ਮਾਰਿਆ ਸੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਵਾਇਰ ਮਿਸਲ ਲੱਗਣ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਾਮਯਾਬ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਮਿਸਲ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਆਪਣਾ ਆਬਜੈਕਟਿਵ ਨਹੀਂ ਅਚੀਵ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ 에ਅਰਬੇਸ ਤੇ ਹਮਲਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਨਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਦੀ ਵੀ 에ਅਰਬੇਸ ਦੇ ਹੈਂਗਰਸ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਟਾਰਗੇਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੈਂਗਰ ਉਡਾਓਗੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੋ ਜਹਾਜ਼ ਤਬਾਹ ਹੋਣਗੇ ਉਸ 에ਅਰਬੇਸ ਕੋਲ 40 ਜਹਾਜ਼ ਹੋਰ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉੱਡ ਜਾਏਗਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਰਨਵੇ ਉਡਾਉਂਦੇ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਜਹਾਜ਼ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਨਾ ਉੱਡ ਸਕਣ ਉਹ 40 ਦਾ 40 ਜਹਾਜ਼ ਜ਼ਮੀਨ ਤੇ ਹੀ ਰਹੇ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ 에ਅਰਬੇਸ ਨੇ ਜਿਸ ਉਦਮਪੁਰ ਤੇ ਟਾਰਗੇਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਪੂਰਾ ਰਨਵੇ ਦੇ ਸੈਂਟਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਡਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਜਹਾਜ਼ ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਉੱਡ ਸਕਦਾ ਸੀ ਮੋਦੀ ਨੇ ਕਿਉਂ ਸੀਜ਼ ਫਾਇਰ ਕੀਤੀ ਇਸ ਦੀ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡੀ ਇਹ ਵਜ੍ਹਾ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਐਡਾ ਮਹਿੰਗਾ ਮਿਜ਼ਾਈਲ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ ਬ੍ਰਾਹਮੋਸ ਚਲਾਏ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਰਨਵੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਡਾ ਸਕੇ ਇਹ ਰਨਵੇ ਉਡਾ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਇਹ ਕਦੀ ਵੀ ਇਹਨੇ ਸੀਜ਼ ਫਾਇਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨੀ ਸੀ ਇਹਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਪਏ ਨਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਫਲਾਣਾ ਬੇਸ ਉਡਾਈ ਫਲਾਣਾ ਬੇਸ ਉਡਾਈ ਰਨਵੇ ਤੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਕਰਾਮਤ ਨੇ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਜਹਾਜ਼ ਉੱਡ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਇੱਕੋ ਰਨਵੇ ਉਡਾਇਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਰਹੀਮੀਆ ਖਾਨ 에ਅਰਪੋਰਟ ਦਾ ਉਡਾਇਆ ਉਹ 에ਅਰਪੋਰਟ ਕੀ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਹ 에ਅਰਪੋਰਟ ਸਿਵਿਲੀਅਨ 에ਅਰਪੋਰਟ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅਰਬੀਆ ਨੇ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਜਿਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਚੋਲਸਤਾਨ ਨੇ ਸ਼ਿਕਾਰ ਖੇਡਣ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਜਹਾਜ਼ ਉੱਥੇ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ 에ਅਰਬੇਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਨੇ ਜੇ ਇਹ ਰਨਵੇ ਉਡਾਣ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਾਮਯਾਬ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਨਾ ਇਹਨੇ ਬ੍ਰਾਹਮੋਸ ਸਹੀ ਨਿਸ਼ਾਨੇ ਤੇ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਤੇ ਇਹਨੇ ਸੀਜ਼ਫਾਇਰ ਕਦੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨੇ ਸੀ ਇਹਨੇ ਬ੍ਰਾਹਮੋਸ ਨਿਸ਼ਾਨੇ ਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗੇ ਬਾਬਾ ਉਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਭੱਜਿਆ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਕੋਲ ਜੀ ਮੇਰੀ ਸੀਜ਼ਫਾਇਰ ਕਰਾਓ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹ ਹੁਣ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਤੁੰਨਣਗੇ ਤੁੰਨਣਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਸੁਣ ਲਓ S-400 ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਉੱਡ ਕੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਹੈਗਾ ਸੀ MR-SAM ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਇਜ਼ਰਾਈਲ ਨੇ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਅਸਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਡਰੋਨ ਆਏ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਡਰੋਨ ਕੀ ਹੈਗੇ ਸਨ ਇੱਕ ਬੈਪ ਸੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਪਰ ਰਹੇ ਸਨ ਤੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪੱਖਾ ਲੱਗਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਪੂਰੇ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਉੱਡਿਆ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ 에ਅਰ ਡਿਫੈਂਸ ਸਿਸਟਮਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਜਹਾਜ਼ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਤੇ ਡਰੋਨ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਹਨੂੰ ਮਾਰਨਾ ਤੇ ਕਿਹਨੂੰ ਛੱਡਣਾ ਇਹ ਹਜ਼ਾਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਤਾਦਾਦ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਏ ਇਹ ਕੁਝ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਸਨ ਇਹਨੇ ਪੂਰਾ 에ਅਰ ਡਿਫੈਂਸ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਜ਼ਾਇਆ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਡਰੋਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੁੱਟਣ ਵਿੱਚ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਲੈਂਦੀ ਫੇਰ ਕੁੱਟ ਦਿੱਤੀ
So they fired missiles at these drones? Wow.
ਕੀ ਫਾਇਰ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਜੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਉਹ $300 ਦੇ ਡਰੋਨ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਮਿਲੀਅਨ ਡਾਲਰ ਦਾ ਮਿਜ਼ਾਈਲ ਮਾਰ ਕੇ ਉਡਾਇਆ ਕਿਉਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਨ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਹਮਾਸ ਵਾਲਾ ਕੰਮ ਤੇ ਕਰਦੇ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਨ
Right. No, it's all very believable. given the level of superiority and planning you guys had. Yeah.
अजीत पाजी में मैं एक इंसिडेंट का विटनेस था. मैं बस 2 मिनट बोल सकता हूँ काइंडली, मैं बड़ी देर.
बोलो बोलो अजीज भाजी बोलो.
थैंक यू सो मच अजीज भाजी. एक मोमेंट में सुन रही हूँ, लेकिन जब ये भावलपुर में ये 4 इनके अटैक हुए ना, मिसाइल अटैक, तो मैं लॉ का सीनियर स्टूडेंट हूँ. आई एम सीनियर स्टूडेंट ऑफ लॉ एंड आई वाज ऑलमोस्ट 300 to 400 meters away from the incident. आप यकीन कीजिए, ये इतने जालिम, इतने बद किरदार, इतने वाहियात लोग हैं. जब ये अटैक हुआ ना, तो सिविल पॉपुलेशन की, क्योंकि आपको पता है इतने बड़े मिसाइल्स थे, स्कॉल्प मिसाइल्स, उनकी इतना ज्यादा उनका मतलब साउंड प्रेशर था, इतना साउंड प्रेशर था. इवन दो आई वाज 300 to 400 meters away from the attack area, still मेरे कान जो है, कान का पर्दा वो अभी भी राइट साइड वाला थोड़ा थोड़ा डैमेज है. अच्छा अजीत पाजी, जब when this attack was happened, तो within 2 to 3 minutes या 4 minutes ambulances were rushed to the incident. वहाँ एम्बुलेंसेस थी, और उसके साथ ही ऑलमोस्ट 1 किलोमीटर के ड्यूरेशन पर एक है वहाँ पर बहावल विक्टोरिया हॉस्पिटल, वहाँ का सबसे बड़ा गवर्नमेंट का हॉस्पिटल, वेरी मतलब स्टेट ऑफ द आर्ट हॉस्पिटल. अच्छा, वहाँ पर उन सारे लेकर गया किया. तो चंद मिनट बाद, क्योंकि हम यूनिवर्सिटी के स्टूडेंट थे, मैंने भी अपनी यूनिवर्सिटी, बिकॉज आई एम सीनियर स्टूडेंट ऑफ लॉ, तो मैंने अपने ग्रुप बनाया हुआ जिसमें वहाँ के एडवोकेट्स और लॉ के स्टूडेंट्स हैं तकरीबन 500-600. उसके अलावा डिफरेंट ग्रुप्स में ऐड है. तो मैंने एक ना मतलब मैसेज पढ़ा, और उसके बाद कुछ लोगों को भी बात सुनता कि बहावल विक्टोरिया हॉस्पिटल में खून की कमी होती है और खून की जरूरत है. तो जितने भी यंगस्टर्स हैं वो काइंडली अपने आप को एज अ वॉलंटियर करें. तो आई मैसेज ऑल इन द ग्रुप, और लोगों ने भी मैसेज किया. लिटरली अजीत पाजी, लिटरली विद इन 5 to 10 minutes एवरीवन, जिसके पास स्टूडेंट के पास रिक्शा है, जिसके पास मतलब जो बाइक है और जो पैदल जा सकता था, क्योंकि इतना बड़ी ड्यूरेशन नहीं थी, 1.5 किलोमीटर था, यकीन करें पूरा हॉस्पिटल स्टूडेंट से भर गया. ऑलमोस्ट सिर्फ पंजाबी सीधे थे, पठान और ये गिलगिती स्टूडेंट्स, मैं कहता हूँ हर स्टूडेंट वहां गया. तो वहां जब हम गए ना, यकीन कीजिए ये इतने जालिम, इतने वाहियात, इनके पास ना कोई ह्यूमैनिटी है, ये इतने मतलब मगरूर है कि वहां पर बच्चों की, छोटे छोटे बच्चे इतने जख्मी, 1-2 लाशें पड़ी हुई, औरतें, मतलब बड़े तो हमें बिल्कुल नहीं मिले ना. आप जब देखेंगे ना ये जो मतलब जो लिस्ट जारी की है ISPR ने, ये गवर्नमेंट ऑफ पंजाब ने, जिसमें ये कहा गया है कौन कौन फौत हुआ इस जालिमाना इंसिडेंट में, यकीन करें बच्चे और बूढ़े खूनो खून. फिर वहां पर ही साथ ही मेडिकल कॉलेज है, उसी हॉस्पिटल का, जिसे कहते हैं कायदे आजम मेडिकल कॉलेज. वहां पर काफी मेडिकल के सीनियर स्टूडेंट 5th ईयर के भी रहते हैं, 4th ईयर के भी रहते हैं, और 3 ईयर के रहते हैं, जो कि बेशक इतना एक्सपर्ट ना हो, लेकिन वो थोड़ी बहुत ही फर्स्ट एड कर सकते हैं और थोड़ी बहुत ही सर्जरीज कर सकते हैं. क्योंकि डॉक्टर्स के आपको पता है हॉस्पिटल में एट अ मोमेंट इतने नहीं डॉक्टर होते हैं, और काफी दूर होते हैं, घर होते हैं. तो वहां पर उन्होंने मेडिकल कॉलेज में ऐलान किया कि स्टूडेंट्स जो आ सकते हैं ना, those who are expert, little bit expert in surgery, उन्हें वहां पर बुलाया गया, और उन्होंने मतलब जो मेन डॉक्टर्स थे उनको असिस्ट किया और बहुत ज्यादा मदद की. फिर हमें ऐलान किया गया कि क्योंकि बहुत ज्यादा स्टूडेंट आ चुके हैं, उनकी रिक्वायरमेंट कंप्लीट हो चुकी है, सो यू कुड गो बैक. वहां पर लोगों में इतना ज्यादा हौसला था, और हिंदुस्तान की इस जो हिंदुत्व और ये फाशिस्ट और ये रेसिस्ट रेजिम में इतना गुस्सा था that people were chanting slogans of like एक नेचुरल सी चीज है, इस गुस्से में आप नारा तकबीर अल्लाह अकबर इस तरह के स्लोगन्स कहते हैं. सो आफ्टर डेट मतलब आवाम जो थे उनके हौसले तो बहुत बुलंद थे, किसी किस्म का खौफ नहीं देखा गया. बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली क्योंकि मेरे पेरेंट्स तो रहे, क्योंकि मैं एक ही उनकी औलाद हूँ, तो उन्होंने प्रेशराइज में कि आप घर जाएं. मैंने बहुत मना किया, स्टिल आई एम इनसेन. तो अल्लाह का करम है.
We have too many speakers.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's good. But I think that's Aviv, you raised the right point.
Just one, Ajit, can I say something?
Haji Sir, go ahead.
Just 1 minute.
Okay.
Ajit sir, just 1 minute.
Okay, let's do one thing. Let Aziz finish. Aziz, you got 30 seconds, land it, and then we'll go to the next speaker.
Sure. Thank you so much. Arjit Paji, the main topic of our
this webinar was Pakistan press conference analysis by an IAF veteran. मैं भी थोड़ा analysis देना चाहूँगा. The analysis is this कि देखें कितने उन्होंने पाकिस्तान Air Force ने straight forward जाकर as a professional Air Force सारा बताया. उन्होंने slides दिखाए हैं. Whether if you go to the adversary Indian side, you could see कि उनके body language कैसी थी, उनका बात करने का अंदाज कैसा था. They were detecting the journalist that you should have to ask this question, not this.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's fine. Aziz, just hold on. We'll take you. You will get another opportunity as well. I know there's somebody else wanted to speak, but just hold on. And Saif, just hold on to your question. I want to go back to Colonel Makbul and Irvis. So first of all, what Irvis has shared is a sensational piece of information to me. Okay, that's a level of capability, and that kind of makes sense. Irvis, total sense that how was Pakistan able to get 42 aircraft in air with an S-400 functional battery in Adampur?
It never clicked over mind like how
Yeah.
Pakistan was able to take down Indian Rafales
Yeah.
with the S-400.
Yeah. No. But before the takedown, the question is, which I never asked myself, how did Pakistan get 42 aircraft in air with an S-400 functional battery in Adampur? That should not happen. That's what it was saying, because of the range of and the kill range of the Adampur. So he's correct that either they were told not to fire, which will not be the case, or Pakistan had to take that battery out before it got so many aircraft in the air. Now the question is, maybe Pakistan has the capability to take that battery out, but how will you take that battery out? You can't take it out first, because you will be the aggressor. So you have to be very sure, as the package was building up on the Indian side, that it is a hostile package, it is coming to bomb, and at that point in time, just before the package is effective, you have to take first the batteries out before you get your interceptors in the air. Now that is the level of timing and coordination, even if you have advanced intelligence. Now it is also talking about they have all the advanced intelligence, and what Irvis just shared on top, and I think I need to show it to my live stream people who are live streaming right now. Let me bring that up, because this is phenomenal, because now we are talking about level of capability from Pakistan, which is mind-boggling. Now we are talking about intelligence and all the other domains that Colonel talked about. And let me pull that thing up. I kind of came down here. Let me pull this picture that he has shared. This is a very, very interesting picture. Should be analyzed. Okay. And I'm being called. Okay, I have to go to this another space, but I want to show this picture before we close this space. Where is that picture gone? Okay, here it is. So they already were. If they were able to take this picture, it is exactly an ops room. I have been to these ops rooms in my life. These are genuine, look like genuine pictures. I don't see why, and these are from the CCTV cameras that we have. They have on these rooms. Looks very genuine to me. I'll do more research on it. But that means that Pakistan already has advanced intelligence. With that being said, guys, I'm kind of out of time, unfortunately, because I have this other commitment with another space. Moise Paji, I know you want to say something, but take quick time before I close the space. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Harjeet. Actually, just thank you everyone for organizing this. This was really.
Can I say something?
Yeah, Saif, just hold on. No, Saif, just hold on. Let Moise finish. Moise, go ahead.
I just have a question actually, and I would like Harjeet.
Yeah.
An experience.
So Moise, I have to seek for Moise, I have to seek forgiveness. This other space, I'm a panelist. They need me. I'm so sorry. We are going to restart this space. We're going to have a part 2 of it. And I thank everybody for joining. Thank you so much. I have to definitely, I'm apologize, but I have to end this because I can't let go of that commitment. Thank you so much for joining. We'll do a part 2. Waheguru Ji Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Fateh.